Oh, you're doing teenage driving lessons.
I
Excellent.
am doing teenage driving lessons part 2.
Tell him no pressure. He's live on the World Wide Web now,
Yeah.
learning how to drive. What's up, Mr. Largo?
I'm editing the Crimson Avenger and needed a break. I saw your note and I was like, it's not Tuesday. What's going on?
No, just Travis and I were bullshitting again and decided to throw a live out there since we're might as well
Sure.
just enjoy the community and hang out. So
Yes, we have no lives and nothing else better to do, right?
I'm too old to go anywhere and drink, so I do that at home now. So.
Yeah.
There is that. Travis, how's things going with Hexastack, buddy?
It's going good, man. Got everything's up in the basement running. I am having an issue with keeping things heated. I thought I had solved it, but what I found is that it's hit or miss on. I didn't tell you this yet, Ed, but we were chatting. I told you I got everything ready to run on Monday, so I started running stuff. But the problem I ran into is that, and I was doing research the last 2 days on it, is basically it's not so much about keeping the starting point of heat, but keeping a consistent heat out through the whole thing. So what's happening is it's good, but then the heater gets so hot down there, it's got to shut off, and then the temperature comes down, and then I bring it back up. So during that down and bring up, it's causing an issue.
Stays at 75 degrees constant, 80 degrees constant.
Yeah, so that's one of the issues I'm having right now with the production and building, making consistent products so that the QA on it or the QC on it's proper. But it's coming.
You live in New York. It only goes from like 0 to
freaking
40 back down to 0 every other week. So
Aaron, I've had 3 failed prints on your stuff, so
I'm just giving you shit.
No, I'm working on it, dude. Yours is on my Max 3, so I can drop it. I saw a video last night I was gonna try to do with yours. And if it works out, I'll be sending you like an entire bed of them because I saw this whole thing, how you can like group them and make these like break off pieces. It's kind of cool stuff. So I might mess around with that for you and send it your way. But I have one piece just came today at about 6:00. I have this. There's a couple different heaters that are out there that you can use, but I bought a heater for my resin tank. One of them to try and see because it like blows direct heat onto the resin pool and it will constantly keep it at a set temperature. But there's also this stuff called what is it called? I just ordered it yesterday. It's I gotta order. It's called thermal vat band. And what it is it's some sort of electronic heating strip that you can wrap around the vat, which is the tank that holds the resin in it while it's doing it. And what that does is you can set the temperature to heat it. And you can hook up to 3 separate lines. So you could set 3 different printers up to it. So I ordered 2 packs of it, which will get me up to 6 of them. And they're going to be here next week. So I'm trying the direct heat one because I found that first. And I know that that'll work from what I've seen. And I'm going to give that one a shot, but that one's a little bit more pricey. Basically for the price of that one, I was able to get all other 6 thermal vat wraps. So if that works, I'll shift over to the thermal vat and move on from the direct heat. And if that is good, sometime next week, I should be producing at a higher rate. But Aaron, yours is the one that's getting the machine that I'm going to run your stuff off on for you is going to have the direct heat on it. And yours is the first one I'm running as a test. It's got a lot more fine detail and stuff. So I'll have that done for you.
Well, I wish this guy would just get fucking Hexastack going already. It's only been a fucking year. Jesus.
No.
Okay, 8 months.
We're getting there. Hey, dude,
Well, it's been there since the beginning of me doing this, and that started in March. So what month are we at now? Yeah.
Oh no, that's not possible. I didn't register the business and announce it until May.
That's all
time.
good. Like I said, it's better to put the best product out and then put something half-ass out and have to retract.
Well, that's part of it. I have one of my buddies who's
don't
somebody
half-ass
who,
it, Travis. Come on.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like in today's social media world, right? I've been able to get the idea and concept out there fast and whatnot to people. But just as fast as I can get that out there, if I put a crappy product out, everybody's gonna know about it. I mean,
people don't do bad reviews.
Right, exactly. And I don't want to piss anybody off, right? And like I'm the type of person who's gonna stand by my product, and I'm gonna make good on it, So
can't make everybody happy.
Well, right, you're not gonna make everybody happy. Somebody's gonna find a flaw or not like
we survive.
But we need to make sure that people are getting what they pay for and happy with it and want to buy more. So, you know, a buddy of mine used the example that when BlackBerry, you know, was running, you know, wild, they owned everything. You know, everybody was using BlackBerries, every company was using them. Apple could have come out with a shoddy device that would have been suitable and could compete, but they sat there and they made the best product they could, you know, before they put it out there. And while I've always said I want my product to be, you know, I want it to be the Apple of stands, right? I want it to be something everybody can use. It's easy to use. The only difference is I want to be the Android cost, right? I don't want to charge everybody the iPhone price. But
what are you saying about Android?
They're cheaper, dude. The cost is a lot cheaper. Like, you know, at least that's what it was. I don't know if it is now.
No, it still is.
I'm an iPhone user since I moved away from Android. It was my first smartphone, but I'm all Mac now. I don't have a PC. I mean, I do, but I don't touch it. It's buried in my basement. But you know, so. But yeah, long story short is basically, you know, it's still coming. I'm still working on it, and I'm really excited to see where I'm going to be in the next, I would say, 4 weeks. Because my next plan is there's a lot of influencers out there. I got a checklist of influencers that I plan to send the product out to and ask them to review it with honest, open, transparent, you know, reviews. There's going to be a set date in which they can publish that video, and that same date that they can publish the video is going to be the same date my site goes live, so everyone has the chance to order. And what I'm going to do is for anyone who backed me on the Kickstarter, they're also going to get the discounted rate, just like the Kickstarter rates. I've always promised that. I will stay true to that. And then what I'm going to do is their orders will be processed before anyone else's, as out of respect for folks that have been, you know, willing to back me from day one. So that's the approach. I mean, those that have been on the ride, I appreciate it and the patience, but I promise the product that comes out will be better than, I mean, you know, it's not the same product.
You know that we know all this, Travis. We just got to bust the balls.
You know,
we definitely see that it has a lot of potential. We like the design that you're coming up with. It's innovative. It's got some cool. I can already see where I can use it on the shelves in here. So I'm looking forward to seeing where you go with that. I'm going to grab another cup of Joe, and then I'll be right back.
All right, sounds good. Let's pop through the chat real quick and say hi to everybody. We got Fat Red Through.
Frick yeah.
And Mr. Cobb Web Collectors in the house. We got Digital Diarrhea and Bjorn Schmebulok and TK Magic Shop. What's up? And Eldor's here, of course.
There he is. Growing out the head hair, you see?
Look at that. You'll be able to be a hippie pretty soon.
Ah, man, I haven't had long hair since I was 15. 16?
I haven't had long hair. Yeah, probably since about the same time. But, you know, look at that luscious beard that Aaron gets to grow. I mean, you know, it's just, it's gorgeous.
Oh, man, I try, dude. I don't have it in me. I get patches and stuff. I just can't get it.
Yeah, it's because you're too young.
There's a question for you, Trev.
Let me think about that for a second. I've got to double check the measurements. I don't have them in front of me for the DTOF. Let me look up the DTOF measurement real quick.
15 by 15 by 15 cube.
Is that exactly what it is?
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, it is.
You doubt me.
I do. Because when I measured them, so it's
you got to include
15 inches wide and then 15.38 or 15 3/8 tall and 15 3/4 tall on the bottom and top. So it's basically 15 by 15. I'll give you that, but it's only 14 5/8 deep.
That's because of the way the mounts are, though.
Yeah, that's where the door mounts come in.
Yeah.
Okay. But the usable space is what I'm mentioning, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the usable space is 15.
But did you design the hex stack for that reason, so you can get kind of around those?
The corner pieces?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't have any DTOFs myself, so I can't trial it, but I do know from like a measurement stance, like I have shelves that are the same dimensions roughly. But basically if I'm doing the math correctly here.
So digital diarrhea says it's 3 rows of 4 figs.
So that'd be 12 figs. That seems a little small.
I don't think so.
I think you get 5, right?
They're basically 3-inch hexes, right?
Where's my stand? I just had one here. Did I put it away? Did you see me get up and put it away, dude?
No, you had it sit on your lap.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Let me find
Right
my
where you
measuring
left
tape
it.
real quick. Yep, give me a second. Okay, so
Okay. Let's
I
get
know the
everybody ready to
measurements.
watch this math magic that Travis is going to do. We're all waiting in anticipation.
Thanks, dude. Thanks. I appreciate you guys so much. You guys put me on the spot here now.
Well, you might get 5 across, but you'll only get 4 deep because
4
of that.
deep, yeah.
So it's a little less than 3.5 wide.
Oh, geez, it's bigger than. So
Okay,
yeah, no,
so
he's right.
3.5
4.
times
3.
4 is basically 15, so that's wide. So you can
So it
do
would be
4
4 and 4.
4 and 4, 16 figures basically.
Hey, I went to public school, man. My math sucks.
So it's they're like 3.25 by 3.25 is what they end up being from corner to corner. From here to here, they're 3.25, and from here to here, they're 3.25.
Yeah, so basically you're still looking at 4 by 4.
Yeah.
Four rows of figures.
Yep.
4 rows of 4 figures.
This was 3.25.
Because of the offset.
Yep. Yeah.
9 3/4.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to fit a full 5th row, but you would be able to potentially stand your characters in front of it if you chose to do so.
Yeah.
Off stand essentially. And since the lowest stand is roughly about a 1/2 inch tall, you're gonna have half-inch difference, so you could still stagger and such there. But you would be able to do.
You don't have any like half or 1/4 inch plates, do you?
I don't right now.
With just the footholds. That might be a thing to look at.
So the problem with that is I would not be able. So there's other manufacturers out there who have a similar product, and that is what their bread and butter is a foot peg
Here's
sliding
what I'm saying
thing.
is you cut that in half. You cut your hexa stack in half.
Yeah, he's basically saying make half stacks.
Yeah.
The problem is, Matt. I could do it. I could do what Aaron's saying, and actually that makes sense. The thing is, with those ones, everyone would have to know they're not going to be magnetic because there's a certain amount of space that I need to have to allow them to have the magnet and the metal functionality. So if that's something folks wanted, it's definitely something we could do. It just wouldn't be at a.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
Just remember,
be
I got
pieces.
naming rights because I already called it the half stacks.
Now, when you first
what I'm
started
saying is you could do that
coming
as a
together
peg, you
and
do it as a foothold, but you could also do it as that half, your 1/2 inch peg, or what do you have? 1 inch, 2 inch, and 3 inch, right?
Half 1, 2, and 3.
You have 1, 2.
Oh,
and
are
3?
you talking about the stands?
Yeah.
So I have half,
do
1,
a
2, and
1/2
3.
inch stand, half cut in half, and you can have 1 foot peg in it, but it would have to be oriented in a way for it to fit.
Yeah, so it's
You're
flat on the
following me.
front.
And that would be for the front of the stacks.
So it'd essentially be it'd have to be a flat edge.
Yeah, the flat front.
Okay. So something that's basically like a DTOF stand, essentially. It's exclusively really being used for the DTOFs to leverage that extra row. Okay.
Yep. All right. So Fat Red Food said he turned in to hear about Travis's Joy toy.
Oh man, I ordered more today.
Here, how do I jump on here and see a comment of me taking a stray bullet?
No idea. Was he taking a stray bullet?
I don't know anything. Oh, I think it's this one. Math is better than Larry talking sports.
I could talk sports.
well, speaking of Joy Toy, Travis, I know you initially started with the Hexastack looking at 1/12 scale. Are you looking at ways to make it work with the 118 Joy Toy and other type stuff as well?
It already is. So that's a great question, Largo. Thanks for the setup and serve there. So
great segue, Largo. Great segue.
Let me get to sports and I'll spike this one in. So the reason I got into Joy Toy was actually a result of wanting to experiment with the 118 scale with Hexastacks. The only reason I got put on my Christmas list this year And my wife and my mom actually got me a couple of them. So what I did was I've already designed the foot pegs, the not the foot pegs, but the slide in ones. So the slide in ones, and just to kind of streamline the ordering process and everything, what I've decided to do is every stand will get a filler plug essentially, and one slide in foot peg so that you can slide in, and it'll come with what I call the standard slide in, which fits typical, WWE figures, the GI Joes. It fits the typical male size figures in that 1/12 scale. Your space monsters from Cosmics and your mythic legions won't fit in that, but that'll come with every stand. You'll get one of those for everyone. But what I've done is I've
Hold on a
designed
second,
ones
Travis.
that,
Hey, Maddie, no, I mean, yes, Joy Toy is probably what you're thinking it is, but Joy Toy is the manufacturer of action figures too. Just wanted to clear that up since we got a lot of people to talk about the Joy Toy in here.
It's not an OnlyFans thing. We're good.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it could be, but
it could be.
Personal massager,
technically that
digital
doesn't
diarrhea.
have to be for that. You can make an OnlyFans for anything.
Oh,
That's
you could.
true.
You could.
So legitimately, you can make one now. I can't say that it wouldn't be construed that way.
I like
Don't
the way
give
you're
Ed
thinking.
any ideas. We'll see all kinds of things flocked and put on OnlyFans.
There
Right.
you go.
It's going to be scary.
I'll get my buddy Thanos to help me with some ideas. We'll be golden.
Nice. So just to finish up that question that Largo had with regards, and Fat Red, I saw that note. I'll definitely consider that with what I'm looking at when I toy around with that a bit. But back to Largo. So I got the Joy Toys, which is it's a troubling hole to dig into, and I'm there. But
And then
I
I dug him even further into Acid Rain. So,
Oh, yeah.
so he's got a whole nother level of
we're screwed.
yeah.
So I designed it, and so Christmas morning I grabbed a couple of my Hexastack stands, and I just wanted to put the Joy Toys on there to get an idea of how they would sit, and size wise you can use them for your 1/8 scale figures as far as like displaying them on there. I don't have pegs created for them yet, because I don't know that I would be comfortable trying to stick a peg in such a smaller figure's peg hole there, which that's
Keep
just kinda
talking about
awkward.
that Joy Toy.
Yeah. So
Well, the nice thing about like the Space Marines and the Orcs, they've got big feet, so they
Right.
stand pretty well. They may not need a peg, but they do need to be able to level them to get some dramatic posing.
so like this guy here, he's a Joy Toy, but he's in scale with the Cosmic Legion space guys that I have, height and dimensions. Like his foot is more of a traditional. His is more of a traditional, foot size. So it would actually, I haven't tried this one, but it likely would fit in. But the more humanoid figures from Joy Toy that I've gotten into, they have smaller bases to them, and the feminine ones have, even much smaller. So what I've designed is a, smaller scale slide-in foot peg. It's the same. It fits in the same hole, and you can, slide the foot in, and there's a number of different sizes. So the base packs will all come with your standard configuration, but you can add on for very, very, very cheap additional foot pegs for the respective ones that you want or need in the future. And then, as far as the larger scale ones, I've got this design kind of like a ring sizing tool, where it's like the size of a credit card, and it's got different peg hole things, so you can get one of those in your order, and then test it with different figures to see which one fits your figures better. And the reason I went that way rather than just saying this peg hole fits the Marvel Legends is because I have one peg hole that works for some Marvel Legends that doesn't work for others, and that's all in line. So providing users that opportunity. Yes,
the
exactly.
Black Series from Star Wars is the same way. They have some peg holes fit certain ones.
Yeah.
and some
Exactly.
Well, if nothing else, you've given us a greater respect for pegging.
yes.
Just saying.
So yes, the 1/18th will be fully at launch. The 1/18 scale will be ready to go on launch. So because I trying to satisfy my own personal need now, because I am now up to, I don't know,
A couple.
there's a whole box of them here, and then I have at least 9 more on the way. Plus, I've been talking to a guy who's been he's looking to unload a bunch of Acid Rain figures, and maybe at the end of the month, I'll be picking up some of those too.
Nice. I mean, ever since you started talking about this, I've been looking at applications on the shelf, and it's like one thing I like, you know, I'm a big 1/12 guy. Now I'm kind of getting into some other scales as well, but having the ability to change the levels without having to, you know, put a big stand, but to be able to do individual stands and do them at different heights, that's going to work on some of these narrow shelves that I use a lot
Absolutely.
better than anything else I've seen on the market. So
Yeah,
I'm excited
definitely.
for that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's cool. Like, it's hard to see because of, and I was showing Ed before we got on, but all those guys up there are on Hexastack stands right there, and they're all using just the universal slide in, and those are all my WWE Ultimates up there.
Cool. Do you want to address this from Fat Red Foo while you're talking, Travis?
Yeah, so there's some stuff with tile and designs, bricks, things like that, that I've been looking at. I don't know if I could put a design on the front of this stand like you're saying there. I have to toy around with it to see if it's something I could do cleanly for it. It just, I got to play around with it, but I'll take a look and see if it's possible.
I think if you're doing the flat ones for like the front of a DTOF, you could, right? But
and that's possible, and that's
right,
what
on
I'm
the hex
thinking.
stacks, it'd be tough because then you got to make sure you get it on the right side without the magnets. You got to make sure that it's on the, you know, it's not going to interfere with the connection.
Well, maybe
the
if you
design
did, you know, if you took just one of the hexes and made it a terrain hex, where when you have a series of hexes together, one is for terrain, the others are for holding figures, so you can kind of make a little diorama design without having to try to incorporate a figure onto that same hex.
Well, so
that's
I have ones that already have the design into them, and that doesn't inhibit the you know, use of all of this. It just uses all of this here, you know.
It doesn't go down the sides though, does it?
Yeah,
but it doesn't currently, but there is something that has been designed and will be announced later in 2024 that folks can get into. And I'll call it what it is. It's Hexagrid, and it's an expansion on what Hexastack is, which is it's going to allow a lot more, I don't want to say diorama, because it's definitely not like what, you know, Random does, or you know, even what you do.
I call it more dynamic display.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it would be. It allows you to not just have them standing there, but have a way to integrate with a modular system that can be used with what you would already have, but also enhance it with some additional.
It's kind of like what Bobby's doing with his current the new Valis stands, where they all bump up together, except on a much better level, right? Because that's what he did, right? He made it so you can basically fit 12 stands together, and it makes like a desert terrain.
Yeah. So similar.
You're basically doing that with an upgrade.
It's similar. I won't say it's just different. I won't say it's an upgrade. I would just say it's a different approach. So and it'll allow for not only to do things at the ground level, but the top, sides, and bottom. Well, not bottom. Tops and sides.
One thing that's a constant hassle, and other collectors maybe have the same thing. I've got several tackle boxes full of hands and heads and accessories. And sometimes if I want to do a different display, or I'm doing a photo story, I'm looking through 3 different boxes to find the parts. I like the idea of being able to have a Hexastack stand that has storage for the parts for that particular figure. So if I'm changing things up, I can just open that up, pull out the parts I want. I think that's going to be cool too.
Yeah,
I know that's only on the larger stands, but
it's on the 3-inch stands now. I have done some proof of concepting on introducing it to the 2-inch and potentially the 1-inch. The 1-inch I was having trouble with. It will likely be something that's available in the future on the 2-inch stands also. It just comes down to, like, is it worth the hassle of making this 2-piece connector and enhance, you know, the production of that, to give that amount of space? And if I can't give the user enough space to really store anything, it just doesn't make sense to me. But it is definitely something with the 2-inch I'm likely able to do. The 1-inch is going to be hard, because again, it comes down to, you know, you can see the way this functions here. You know, there's those, you know, different layers in there. You can see those are all like grooves to hold magnetic connections and metal pieces to make the magnets work. So I have to maintain a certain amount of depth. This is the 1-inch stand. So there's just no practicality because of the magnets on the side to really put any drawer functionality there. The 2-inch one, I can get something. I'm just not sure. Is it really going to be worth it? So it's going to be more something I put out to the poll of the users, make a couple of them, show folks, hey, this is something I could offer. Is it something you'd really want?
If you've got guys who are into Joy Toy and some of the other 1/18 scale stuff, a lot of those accessories are small enough in the 2-inch, maybe even in the 1-inch, that would be practical. 1/12
Yeah.
scale, you need the bigger stand to
Yeah.
really fit the heads and hands and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean the 1-inch stand, the 3-inch stands are, the nice thing is if you're putting guys in, and they have one here.
So
I mean,
Real-
the
Travis, hold on a
storage-
second.
Yeah, go for it.
they've been talking about discontinuing the DTOL for many years. It comes up
Yep.
every couple of years. They're going to cancel it, discontinue it. Then it's so
They still
popular
make
that they
it.
end up never
Yeah.
doing it. So we'll see when that actually comes to fruition.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, I don't have any DTOS, but I have these white bookshelves on the side over here, and they're essentially like DTOS without the cooler or glass and see-through functionality, and it works for me. So the stands will work with that. So I don't think that'll impact me and the direction. I think it'll just adjust what folks are having to do, and we'll see what comes from that, because there's some cool stuff out there that I just use for my conventions that folks really love. Like the amount of things I could have sold on my conventions. I'd remember what I had at the conventions, those little plastic see-through shoe displays. If I had a bunch of those on hand, I would have sold out of those. There were so many people that were like, those are so cool, and they're stackable.
Yeah, I know.
They use magnets. Like I actually will eventually have some in here, because I'm replacing this stand behind me, and I'll likely have some of those on the stand that I replaced just because I think they look cool.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing too, like with the 3-inch, using it like a pedestal, you can put logos on there. You can put decals for certain characters. Yeah. I mean, you can make it a showpiece, put it in the center of a display. I'm loving it, man.
So there's somebody out there that I've already talked to. Like I thought about getting, so Hexastack, I've got the patent pending. I had thought about, I've designed some logos myself. The Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, I took their logo and I made something for myself to use. There's a Marvel one that I saw. There's an old school WWE one that I took and made. And I found that's IP issues. And I don't want to get into that mess. I don't want anybody to be able to come after me and be like, Travis, you crossed the line. I don't want to burn bridges.
Yeah, but if you just make it blank and kind of leave it open, it's like, hey, if you want to put a logo there, that's on you.
Yeah.
Here's the space to do it.
If somebody goes and prints a sticker, there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, stickers, no, 100%. Well,
right.
There's something even better, right? Like if you guys recall, there's the stands, right? They've got the magnet and the metal on the front. Well, that front stand doesn't have to connect to anything, right? So the front part of the stand is not connected to things. There's manufacturers out there. I'm not going to name their names or anything, but there's manufacturers out there that I've talked to that don't care they're not concerned with making the IP related stuff, right? So they're producing it already. And what I've done is I've already created a piece that will use a metal and a magnet, and it's like a little block that you could then use some sort of super glue to connect to their really cool 3D printed logos with the coloring and stuff.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I've already discussed it. There won't be any, there'll be cross promotions at some point once we're live, but there's no official partnership or anything there. But I've created a piece that should be able to adhere to their product that would really enhance the stands.
Their product is really nice too.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Their stuff is awesome. And I'm getting it for myself, and I'm going to use my part that will glue to the back of theirs and then be connected to mine. I mean, you could use sticky tape. You don't have to use my connector, but if you want to, grab a connector for ease of mind and know that it's going to connect to the Hexastack, and you could put it on the bottom.
Really nice on a DTOL, right? Have all your figures and then have that on the front, like, X-Men or
exactly
or whatever, right? It would look really nice.
Have you had any success integrating flight stand type pieces to plug in?
So there are flight stands, and being very transparent, the flight stands, I had an issue with printing the transparent color, right? And like, to me, it's always been about do it right or don't do it just yet, right? Get to a point where I can. So when I was talking to the manufacturing, partner that I'm working with in China, we discussed the flight stand, and the questions he posed to me were, is that the flight stand you really want to go with? And I said, be honest, like that's the design I came up with. It's the first time I've ever done that type of stand. It would work. I've seen other things in the market. He's like, exactly. There's already stuff like that in the market. So I had thought about just purchasing a bunch of the ones that are already in the market and using those, and then just creating a resin printed piece that could be attached and adheres to the bottom of that plastic unit, that acrylic unit, whatever, that would then sit into my unit. So there is that capability in the short term. The long term is that I'm working on a better design that I think will be more sufficient. And once I come up with that design, I'm going to run it by my manufacturer. So when I get to that injection molded process, he can provide me his insight as to, because it goes back to what I was saying to you guys earlier. I want the stands to be the Apple stand, right? Like I want it to be the right one. Like you can get all sorts of flight stands offline, but to do it right, I want to make sure when you open it, you're like, this flight stand's good. You don't have to worry about it falling. You don't have to worry about, the plastic being brittle and starting, or the acrylic being brittle and starting to wear after a few different adjustments and things like that. Or, oh, I cranked it too hard and it snapped, right? Like I want to make sure the way I do it is the right way. So that's taking some time.
Yeah, that makes sense. And there's
But
no
there will
reason
be
to
flight
reinvent
stand.
the wheel either. I mean,
Exactly.
I like the Mezco stands I've got. I don't do big; they take up too much shelf
Yeah.
space. So if you just had a hole that peg is compatible with, I can use my Mezco stand on your Hexastack. I'm a happy camper.
Oh, see, I didn't even think about doing it that way. I thought about procuring a bunch of flight stands, creating the 3D piece that would go into, because again, that's the beauty of Hexastack, right? Is like other stands, the pegs are there, or it's some other unit that they're doing. Like mine is completely removable. So this piece comes out and whatever needs to go in goes in. Like I have double-sided pieces that will connect to things like the weapons holders or the lockers that, have been seen, the different accessories, not just a stand. It could be part of the diorama approach too, right? Can be used off stand and off stand. So with the flight stand, leveraging that, finding a way to connect already existing flight stand, and that may be the solution I go as an interim solution until I can get to a properly produced.
Have you ever seen the Mezco stands, Travis? Like actually farted around them?
I don't know that I've never had one in hand. I know I've looked into a lot of different flight stands. So
I'll send you one, because
Okay.
I don't ever use them, and it's just I'll send you one, because
I mean-
you'll see how they plug into the base, and the base is
Okay.
and everything. And that way, I mean, just for your own knowledge, right? And how the flight stand's designed and everything. So
Yeah, I have some stuff that I purchased that were like I don't know if it's kind of like these, because like they sell these. So for my photos and stuff, I purchased a couple, because the professional photos that I'm having taking and stuff of the product. I don't want to use IP related figures on all of my promotional material. So I purchased some of those, and they came with like these plastic boxes, and they have these circles on them, and they use like a hexagon like plug, and I assume that they can use like these some of these flight stands that are out there. And I know I saw at Target they sell some flight stands by NECA, I think.
Yep.
So those
they're
are
all the
ones that I've
same.
seen.
All the flight stands out there are pretty much the same. Mezcos are a little different.
Yeah, they're a little thicker.
They're
They're well
sturdier.
produced.
Okay,
If
so higher
you're
quality.
dealing with
I'll
like
send you one over, because I'm going to send you that head anyway. So
Okay, sounds good.
And if you're dealing with like McFarlane or some of the bigger scale or Storm collectibles, they're a little heavier than your standard 112.
Okay.
So you need a more sturdy flight stand if you're going to go that route.
which
So
is funny, because
having them-
Mezcos are really light,
Yeah.
and they have one
I
of the
know.
most sturdy stands out there.
It's
Right.
trippy. But the modularity of being able to plug in existing stands into what you have, I think is a better way to go, because then you can use whatever stand you like or as flight stand part to go with that new base, and you can just swap them out.
The
But,
problem, I mean, I could definitely do something like that. The only thing I run into is that whatever, I can't say that I sell this flight stand connector that's universal, because it wouldn't be, right. I'd have to sell different hold pieces that could work with it. With my direction, I could go out and procure in large quantity, let's just say 1,000 flight stands that come with the screws and come with the mechanisms. And then what I can do is I can produce in mass the cork, we'll call it, right? The cork that's going to go into my unit, and then I can bring those together with rubber cement or something to make sure that or I could take resin and I can cure the resin on it to seal that connection, so that way it's embedded to that foot peg piece, not the foot peg, but the removable port for the removable peg system that I have, and then that would work. But I like your idea, and I think that's why, like, you see some of these stands that have 6-7 different holes on them, so you can rotate between which one you're using.
Yep.
I like the way that I've done it, but
Well,
there's some limits.
When I send you the Mezco stand, it'll probably trigger some ideas in your head, because
that's what I'm looking for.
They're
Yeah,
pretty
I appreciate
innovative,
that.
and they're designed well. So I'll send you one over this week when I
That'll be
send
good.
out that head to you.
But the important question is, are you going to make them to be compatible with Mythic Legion so Oz can buy a whole ton of them? And are you going to do glow in the dark? Because who doesn't love glow in the dark, man?
So from
if it ain't glow in the dark and it doesn't do Mythic Legions, I'm fucking out. I'm just saying.
And it's got to be able to hold the bear.
You're right. If my bear cannot fly with one of your flight stands,
You might need
done.
2 stands for that bear. It's huge.
So that bear is going to be much more along the lines of like the Scourg or whatever from Mythic Legions, and
It's gonna be twice the
or
score.
or Fang width and stuff, right, from AWOC. So you're probably going to need 2 stands next to each other to support that. But
yeah, he dwarfs both of those figures drastically. He's bigger than a damn troll. So
my guess is that you're probably not going to want to display him on the third, the 3-inch riser in the back. You're probably going to want to put him on the ground in front of all of your displays.
No, I want him standing high and proud above everything else.
So I don't have I don't have foot pegs here, but
I'm thinking I might need 3 for this guy.
Yeah, that's basically the size
he's
of the
beefy.
bear.
Yeah,
That's
they're
about size
beefy
of the bear.
boys. Yeah,
Hold them up
Troll,
again.
the bear with his ears stands slightly taller than that figure.
Yeah.
But
what's the width of foot to foot on there?
Bigger than your
10 inches.
Careful.
10 inches.
Well, I don't know. My wife's been lying to me about what 6 inches is for years.
Is it bigger than 7 inches?
No.
Okay.
Right around there.
Because I mean, 6.5 inches is what 2 of these stands butted up next to each other are. So you might be able to get them, side by side in there.
Yeah, stand them across 2 side by side.
But
that would be ideal.
There's one of the Mythic Legions in scale with it. I don't have any slide-in foot pegs here. It's just standing on my hand here, but you can kind of see, this is on that 3-inch stand. So it very much works. And I've got a ton of Cosmics, and I've got the all-in on that bear pack. So, yeah.
They were just showing off Poxus Wave earlier tonight. Jeremy Gerard was on Mythic Conversations.
I didn't get the Poxus order. I have all. So the dumb thing is I've got like the next 2 or 3 Cosmic orders in, but I'm backing out of Cosmic. Most likely I'm backing out of Vala, and I'm backing out of Classifieds because these Joy Toys most likely. Not because the others are good. It's just that I've got to pick and choose, and I think I decided that I'm going to. I was just talking to Articulated or Highly Articulated that I think I'm going to stick with my Ultimate Edition Wrestlers, AWOC. I'm going to definitely. I mean, I'm assuming I'm all in on Savage Crucible with their Kickstarter, so I'm not stuck. I'm excited about their line, but I have theirs, and then I'll likely use Mythic Legions as like a filler for the Savage Crucible line where I want it to be.
Speaking of the wrestling figures, Travis, what's the possibility of like the figures that come with championship belts, putting the belt around the display stand?
Those belts would be, I think that would be small and awkward. What I would think is that, and if you're not following him on Instagram, what is his username? I always call him Frank. Realm of Toys 89, I think.
Yeah.
He actually did a video for me, and because I sent him out some samples before PowerCon or right around that time, and he did a video for me with or a little reel where he had some stands and the wrestlers, and you can see in there I have the locker accessory that I created, which has some hooks and things like that show how you could kind of throw the. Thanks, Punk. Thanks, dude. It's hard, man. It's hard. The Joy Toys are they're just so freaking cool, and the world building is like so much for me. But the whole thing with the locker and the belts, like those belts wouldn't fit around the stands comfortably, I don't think, or cleanly. But being able to put them, like hanging them on the locker or some other some other accessory that goes on the hexagrid approach, like a rope or like a turnbuckle or a cage like setup, would definitely be a feature, I would say. But if you go to Realm of Toys, he has a video, like a reel that he posted like 23 weeks ago or so, where you can see on one of the shelves in the locker, he put like the Intercontinental title up in like the top shelf and like the vest and stuff of the guy. So there's features that could leverage it. I don't think you'd want to do what you were suggesting, though.
Okay. I was just thinking, it's like, I love the Stone Cold figure I have, but he's got the vest, he's got the shirt, he's got the belt. It's like, you can't put everything on the figure all at the same time, but you kind of want to show it. So,
what if you did like your little card holder display?
Yeah, I was just thinking
except like a little bit smaller, and you peg it down in front.
A card holder display?
A card.
Well, like you have your card holder displays for
card
it.
Holder.
What if you adapted something like that for almost like a belt stand or something?
So there is, that's a great idea, Oz. Thank you. So there is this piece right here, which lighting wise, see that? Do you see the little opening at the front of the thing right here? Right here. So that's a magnet. It's a hole for a recessed piece to go in with a magnet. So what I could do is I could create like some sort of trophy mount type thing, similar to what you were saying. Like originally that was developed as part of the way to keep the units together, but based on what I built and what the injection molding process will have, it's not going to be necessary to have that magnet in there. It really isn't. It's just not needed. But I like it for other usage, like holding a nameplate, like a very simple nameplate where you can slide in like a name of the character or your WWE champion, whatever. But I could expand that functionality and come up with some kind of something to hold the title or something. So that's a cool idea. Thank you, guys. Let me make note of that one.
Yeah, we're just spitballing. I mean, we see a lot of potential with this. You can go in a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
So, you never answered about the glow in the dark, though. We're going to hold into that.
So glow in the dark
plastic you can get, I'm sure.
So I am doing, so I don't know much about glow in the dark, but I am doing with the injection mold, part of the molding prices for the mold. Something I learned was that to get transparent, if I ever want to do like a transparent or clear or something, stand, I would need to pay up front for the molding to be capable of doing the transparent injection molding. So that is rolled into my pricing for my production costs to get the tooling done. So if glow in the dark ties into the way translucent stuff works, or if it's something separate, I'm not aware of. I'd have to look into it. It's not something I'd considered. I know from a 3D printing standpoint, I've seen some stuff people do to add like a glow in the dark material to the resin before they print it, which I haven't toyed around with, but it's definitely something I'm open to.
Well, if it's cost prohibitive to do an entire stand in glow in the dark, maybe you could make like an accessory ring that just fits on top of the hex.
There you go.
That's
Tron style.
Pleasure.
That's
if you do make translucent ones, though. Translucent ones, you can actually sell it, make it so you can actually put a light inside there too.
So I mean, we're talking about it, and I've said enough, so you guys are going to find out right now. So, can you put me in a big screen, Ed, for a second?
I got you, buddy.
So
I play with them a little bit, but
So if you see the stands, right, you can see that there's that inset similar, that allows it to be connected to each other, right?
Yep.
So that inset there is on every stand, right? So there's that, like, the bevel, we'll call it, right?
Yep.
So there's this bevel that's around everything. Well, that bevel allows for me to create a grid system that can go over multiple stands to fill that gap, essentially. So there's what's hexagrid, and it goes beyond that, but it's built into the original design of the system, which I was able to kind of come up with. And and it is part of some of the enhancements that'll be coming out later this year. I want to perfect what I've designed, but like Ed can tell you, Oz can tell you. Oz has seen some stuff that I've been working on in the past for what is possible. There is
and you've talked before about keeping everything backwards compatible. So it's like that's something you're going to come out with and roll out later that's going to work with the existing Hexa stacks you've already purchased.
Exactly.
So, sweet.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So very much like you were saying, right? Like some kind of cap that can go over it. That's where it started, is like a cap that can go over it. And then I was like, but what if I take it to the next level and I make it multiple caps that can go on, let's say 3x3x3, and maybe it extends beyond that to give a back wall that then perches up or on the sides.
Which would also add to the stability. If you've got several together, they're going to be stronger if they've got that cap on there. Nice.
Well, plus like the ones with the terrain tops, right, will look really nice all butted up together.
Yep, exactly. So they could do the matching, you could do the grid and the matching style to like the brick or whatever. So now you can have an entire brick road type approach, or maybe the first 2 rows are brick, more of a pavement style, and then flat almost, and then the back row, which is elevated just a little bit, has like a curb to be like a sidewalk that then behind it has a brick building wall or something to give you more of that diorama feel.
I want to put 9 of them together, then in the center of it, the rest of them look like a road, and I wanted to have the sewer.
Put the turtle one on? Yeah. Go for it. You definitely be able to. I mean, that's the thing. It's modular, and PowerCon, and his name was I want to give the guy credit. I think it's Shiny Plastic People or something.
Make Shape Create Corey.
It was Make Shape Create Corey that told you about the turtle.
What? Oh yes, I'm sorry. It was Shiny People is the one that was like teaching me all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, I met all those guys at the same time on that stream a few weeks ago. So yeah. But yeah, he had suggested a Ninja Turtle. It'd be cool if you had like a Ninja Turtle stand, instead of like just the bricks or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. So immediately after I got back from vacation, I mocked something up as a design that I will be using. But instead of having like New York City, it'll say Hexa Stack, right? Like City of Hexa Stack in there or something. I haven't finalized exactly what it'll be, but some sort of relationship to the Hexa Stack.
So if Ed flocks his Hexa Stack, does that void the warranty? Because he's going to flock at least one of them.
If you flock anything of mine, it's going to ruin the warranty. Don't flock my stuff, Ed.
I'm going to flock your shit up.
That's right. Flock you, man. Flock you.
Oh, man. I'm still hurt. I'm still hurt by Punk's statement that if I'm out of classifieds, I'm dead. So
you're the one throwing out this incendiary kind of talk, saying, "Oh man, I'm out on cosmics."
Well, now let's backtrack here about 5, 6, maybe 8 weeks when Oz is on his stream going, "Yeah, I'm out of everything except Mythic Legions and He-Man." And well, maybe I'm going to collect some classifieds and maybe some Ghostbusters.
Well, what I had said was I was pulling back the reins on how much Masters of the Universe I was getting. Like I wasn't going to get everything anymore. There was a few select ones that I still wanted. And then they announced Ghostbusters, and I was like, "You sons of bitches!"
And then he won a Spirit on top of it.
There's so much good stuff. There's a lot of these independent and boutique type guys that are coming out with awesome stuff that the big boys aren't giving us. But that means, because the lower production numbers, bigger price tag, it's killing the wallet, man. I got to cherry pick. I can't do
it. Does it
lines
right? As much as I love Mythic Legions, I have yet to do an all in. Right? Yeah. Like I can't do an all in.
God,
Travis can't either.
Oh.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean I won't eventually get everything from a certain wave or so. I just got to space it out more. Like I can't do the all-in package at once, even though that's the cheapest way. Because if you do the all-ins, you essentially get a figure for free, basically. But it's just one of those things where it's like, the reality of my financial situation is I can afford to order like one of those a month.
Yeah, well,
maybe 2.
That's the problem with Mythic Legions too, is right, because you pre-order, you pay up front, and then that's an investment for 12 to 15 months when the figures finally arrive. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So like I did So my first all-in was, I think it was this one. It's the Zaxxas Outpost for Cosmic Legions. I did that through Helidope, so I had to do that through the secondary, retail.
Right. Yeah, the retail price where it's a lot more.
Right. I have that one coming from them. I basically did all-ins outside of the bug-like characters from the first wave.
Yeah.
Is there 2 waves out now for Cosmics, or is it just one?
2 waves out.
Okay.
The third one is
There's
pre-ordered.
Book 1 and book 2, and now we're going to get wave 3 is a different book.
Right.
Okay.
Outpost Access. Right.
Okay. So I don't know which.
Maybe there's already 2 waves and there's a third wave coming, because I'm trying to remember the exact breakdown of it.
The accessory set, is that part of wave 3 or is that part of wave 2?
4.
You're talking about the one with all the like cool
the beer
little
cooler and the party generator.
Right. Yeah, that's part of the Outpost Axis wave.
Okay.
So that's
so there's book 2, Grave Night, or whatever.
Yeah.
So the original series I got from Helidope didn't have it.
Yeah, Helidope didn't.
I got Wolf King Customs provided it. So I got that from them, which was a really cool and they're cool too, because and Wolf King Customs' primary focus is the Legion stuff, because they make a lot of 3D printed heads and designs. And the cool thing is, like, when you go with them, and you get one of their secondary ones, you get all of those little extra bells and whistles with it too. So it doesn't feel as bad when you're buying it from the secondary, retailer.
Exactly.
But so I got that one from I got the first series from those guys. But then I did get in back in September. I did get in and get the book 2 from Helidope, and they provided that to me. There was a lot of back and forth confusion because I didn't know what was what, and I was just like, Aaron, Ted, what do I need? What is it? They're like, this is what we have. This is what you already ordered, you idiot. You already did that one.
It sounds like them guys. Goddamn customer, stupid.
Right. No, so they helped me figure out what I was missing and stuff. So I got both. I got the Zaxxas and the book 2 from those guys, and then from the Store Horsemen, I think is where you have to buy the other ones, right?
Yeah, that's where you get direct from Four Horsemen, Store Horsemen.
So I'm checking my account.
So they do some pretty good deals if you want to catch, early release.
Yeah,
but like Oz is saying, I don't have the cash up front. Sometimes I got to wait.
I just ordered the bear, right? Because I knew the bear would be the most expensive figure through the retailers. And I was just like, all right, since he will be cheapest through the Store Horseman, I'll get him. Yeah. Everybody else, I can just do one a month. And Paynes, Aaron, he was the one that recommended. He goes, just do one a month. And I was like, that's freaking right. I don't know why I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
So I want to pick up some of those dwarves, but I've just got to wait. I got too much other stuff going on right now. So
and the shipping
beginning of 2025 anyway.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, the shipping to you has got to be insane from that, because even locally in the U.S., shipping's pretty high from Four Horsemen.
Mm-hmm. Really?
I mean, it's
I don't
not
feel like it was too bad.
Well, that's because we live close. But like when you get out there by like where Brick is and all like that, it's
you go across
quite
the
a bit more.
You're screwed.
Okay.
I sent a package out to a guy in Washington State last week, and it was probably twice as much as if I'd sent something down to Maryland where Oz is at, right?
Yeah, exactly. It gets pricey the further out you're sending it, but
so back to the
that's just reality.
So Wave 3 has the accessory set. So Wave 4 is the one with the critter. I get those two confused, right?
Wave 3 is, hold on a second. So Wave 3 is the one I got from Helidope. So give me one second.
That's like the Outbreak. That's not the one that they announced at PowerCon, Ed. Wave 4 is what was announced at PowerCon.
Wave 3. So I have Wave 1 that I got from Wolf King. Wave 2 I got from Helidope, which was the Graven Knight one, which basically had like the long skinny alien looking dude, and it had a few of those other. It actually had one of my favorite ones that's like that, almost looks like a predator like character, like the green face and stuff.
That's
like the coolest ones. Yeah, he's cool.
He's badass.
Yeah, but so I got that. That's Wave 2. Wave 3 is the Outpost Zaxxas one, which is the one that is the one that contains What's the blue lizard looking dude that just came out in the new one for the Mythic Legions?
Oh, the Arakagor, Arakagor is the whatchamacallit dude, the
Looks
dragon
like a blue
guy.
dragon or whatever,
Right,
right?
yeah, he's the dragon. And Scourge and
Scourge. Scourge is in this set. So
is the other gray alien in that set 3?
Set 3?
No, that's wave 4. See, that's where I'm getting them confused. I'm mixing up wave 3 and 4.
Do you got the pictures up, Travis?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, bring the pictures up.
Here, as long as you're not going to dox yourself, don't put your address out there. I know.
Nah. You could find my address in a heartbeat if you really wanted to.
I'm not trying to. Don't be putting that out there, Travis. You got a hex of stalkers out there now looking for them.
Yeah. So this is the Outpost Axis, and of course I'm only going to bring. So this is wave 3. Comes with this dude.
Yeah, that's the other gray alien there. That's
is this the one you're talking about? To me, I don't even realize he was the gray alien. He just looks like a British character to me because you got like the top of his head, which is like red, blue, and like gray. It just makes me think of like Captain Britain every time I look at it.
Got that little Union Jack going.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. So, but like this is a guy because Scourge to me is basically the Mythic Legions version. He's the Mythic Legion version of the character from the, or he's the cosmic version of the mythic one that just came out from like the whole
Apoxis wave. Yeah, Arakagor is the name of the blue one. I want to get that figure so bad. Yeah. I want to have a blue and a green dragon.
What were the guys in Dragonlance, Ed? Not Draconian. Was it Draconian?
Yeah.
Remember
you talking about the half-breeded ones? Oh,
yes.
Draconians, the dudes from Savage Crucible remind me of the Draconians.
Right.
I can't wait for Savage, man. That I'm so pumped for.
Yeah, Savage Crucible is definitely like a hype city.
Yeah, that once I get those
look at that Hulk.
Yeah. Oh, that one. Yeah. So the other one is it this one? Is this the newest one? Okay, yeah. So this is the one that I'm waiting on.
There we go.
That's the one with the accessory set. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one with the accessory.
Yeah. This is great because of the world building elements.
That's what they both had the animal. That's where I was getting confused. So they have the animal in this wave and the accessory set. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So this one has that, which is, I mean, to me, this is cool. So I've got this coming from Helidope.
And their spacesuit designs are really cool. Reminds me of something you'd see in like heavy metal comic books.
The ones from this wave specifically remind me of StarCraft.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
They look like those Space Marine suits from StarCraft.
I told Random to start making like Dio accessories for like mining space operations because these guys remind me of like some kind of space miners, and it would go perfect with that generator set thing that they got from the other way.
See, from this right here, from like this crew, they're like, in the first Alien movie, right? Like what I loved about that movie was like, okay, so these guys are essentially like space truckers, right? Yeah. And that's kind of what the Ox crew reminds me of.
Yeah. Yeah. The working guys.
Yeah. The blue collar space people, like a lot of sci-fi, everything's all like really like pristine and clean looking and everything else.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, like I like my space a little dirty, little backwoods.
Yeah, that's what I loved about Firefly. The Alliance was all pretty and shiny, and all the brown coats were just ragtag, whatever they can throw together.
It's a great
lived in.
Travis, the guy next to the creature, if you would, to the left.
What's one?
The guy next to the creature to the left. Looks like he's holding a hammer. Yeah, that guy.
Oh yeah, he's cool looking.
He looks like he's on a dwarf structure.
Yeah, it's like a space dwarf mixed with a Mars Attacks alien.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now, are the neck posts on these compatible with the Mythic Legion's heads, or have you guys?
All the neck posts are the same.
They use I don't know all of the stuff, but they have their version 1 and their version 2, I believe, right? So they have their body 1 and body 2 or whatever. So as long as it's compatible between the different bodies, it should be fine.
Cool. So if you wanted to make like a squat space dwarf, you could.
Oh yeah,
you definitely can. Yeah, you absolutely can.
Dwarfs.
That's why
in
you see so many of
space.
like the guys from book one, the what are the engineers and all those? What are they called? The sentries and the
Which one? This
engineers.
thing?
They're all
Right,
they're all the same spacesuit. A lot of guys
I'm
have been
trying to
putting
think
like
of the name of
skull
that.
heads and human heads on those guys.
Oh,
in
you're
space.
talking about the first one.
Yeah,
not
first
anymore.
wave.
Okay.
The ones that were like the jailers, the guys who were in charge.
Right. I
Those
can't
dudes.
remember the
Can't
name
remember
of
the name
that
of them.
faction, but those guys.
Yeah.
They're the ones that kind of look like this guy,
Tusk. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Tusk.
Tusk. Yeah, the Tusk.
Yeah, like I freaking love their designs for these. And like you can see too, like the different territories in space have like completely different looks to them, right?
Right.
That's
Like-
Union Jack right there. I don't care what you guys say. You're never going to look at it the same.
He's
You're
the
gonna
same
look at
alien
it-
race as Aesopitipian.
Well, I love that he comes with Father Christmas staff.
Yeah.
And this guy right here, the
That guy's
operative,
awesome looking too.
Yeah.
it's the Manny Faces
Manny
homage figure. I
Oh, okay.
freaking love it. It's
Yeah,
got
he's
the
on
blues, the pinks, the purples.
yeah.
Manny Faces are the actual only Masters of the Universe figure I owned as a child.
Really?
Nice. It's a
Yeah.
good figure too.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the best ones.
I'm looking forward to this. You could have got this character. At,
You had to get the 2-pack.
PowerCon.
You had to
you
get
could've-
him and operative.
Yep, you
Hmm.
could have got it from PowerCon, but what
Yeah.
I found is that it's the same figure. It was just an earlier release, and it was in a different box. So if you're an out of box collector, it wasn't really worth it.
Yeah, it was a special packaging for that. I picked them up just because they were the homages. You know, that's the Master of the Universe homage for Whiplash and Manny Faces.
Yep.
And I had pre-ordered operative for Skelly when this wave was available. And I was just going to send it to him when it came in. But when I had the chance to get both of these guys early at PowerCon, I was just like, nah, I'm going to ship this guy out to Skelly now.
Which
How long
guy?
do you
Sorry,
think
I
they'll
got a
be doing
message.
some of the all-star type stuff with Cosmic Legions like they're doing with Mythic? Think it's coming down the road?
Oh yeah, for
Definitely.
sure.
Yeah. Well, Jeremy was just saying that, like, so last year, a lot of people were saying was like very cosmic heavy. There wasn't a whole lot of Mythic Legions. And like he had to sit back and think about it and realized, yeah, they didn't actually release a whole lot because there were some delays and everything else. So this year is going to be, it's going to seem very Mythic heavy because of them trying to, you know, Poxus was supposed to release last year and it's just releasing now. People are just starting to get it. They're shipping it. Necronominus is coming right on the heels of it. Like that's coming out in next quarter, basically. They're going to try to get it all out by the end of the year, he said, which would include the All-Stars like 6.
Okay. Which
Because
wave
that
is it? The wizards in it.
That's
I missed
Poxus.
that.
That's what's out right
That is-
now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's just starting to show up, and you can still order from the retailers themselves.
Nice.
Yeah, that's why I want to try to get the Arachogore.
So I think. Oh yeah. Oh man. So I did an order. I'm looking at another window. I did an order of Necronominus through Helidope on the 16th of January. Oh my god, I'm such a horrible human being.
Well, it depends on how you
It's
look at
such
it.
a good
They look-
wave.
Yeah, but I also did the All-Star 6 stuff at the same time.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Well, that's a lot. That's a lot.
got
to front load.
I've got basically I've got anyone that doesn't have bones. So this is Necronominus. So looking at Necronominus real quick, I've got where is it? So Necronominus, anyone that doesn't have bones, I got. So like other than this guy, I did get this guy. So I thought that looked cool. So I got
So,
him. I went
I've
with
got-
this one. I got the horse coming.
Mhm.
I've got Sir Elijah, Sir Aldrich, and then I didn't go with the Harvester or that one.
You
Yeah,
didn't get Necronominus himself?
I
Is that
didn't
the one
get
that's
the
got Sir
extras.
Gideon?
Are you talking about
No,
this
so
character?
Gideon was the next wave, Ed.
Oh, next wave.
It was the All Star 6.
Yeah. So in All Star 6, I already had. I think I already had Decon ordered. I think I already had him ordered from like last year when I saw the horse. I was like, oh, my son loves horses, so I'm gonna get him that one. So I have that order, or I've had that order for a long time. I didn't get any of these bone characters. I did get this guy. I got him. I did get this cool looking orc dude.
Yeah.
And then I didn't get this red Clavian dude. I did get the dwarf, I think, or whatever he is. And I got this guy too. So I didn't do quite an all in, but I just looked at the bill and I'm like, oh man, I'm so happy I just pay and just don't think about it. Because if I did.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like when I'm doing my orders from now on,
Regret.
I'm going to be using Helidope toys because I don't want to get stuck in the trap of doing BBTS and then being like, oh shit, I got like $300 that's going to hit my bank account at once.
Oh yeah. I hate that.
I'd much rather buy one per month, pay Aaron and Ted off, is done, and then I just wait for it to come in, right? Because that's the other thing I like about ordering from Store Horseman is you pay it all up front, so it's done. Then you just sit and wait.
You
know,
don't
when
get surprised.
Although
there is something to be said for the whole 10% down, because it's like, okay, it's real money. I'm putting something down on it, but I still have some breathing room to pay it off. So it's nice that they're offering that with Helidope too.
Exactly. Like you can do that.
Yeah, I'm just looking because I have my Store Horseman order open in the background because I wanted to see what it was because I got that and I did the all in earlier this month. I did that on the 11th of January.
Yep, right before it ended.
Exactly. I did like just a day or two before. And I'm just looking I'm happy that I did it because so for me it's all about I can do it. I would rather wait, but I can't justify $200 over the original price. Like I love supporting Helidope and stuff, and I wish I could go through them, but I'm just like, that price.
Yeah. It's when you're getting it all in.
It's $200. Right. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and with stuff like this, they're not setting that price. Four Horsemen is. It's telling them, they give them directives on what they have to charge for these. So.
Right. Oh, 100%. Oh yeah, no, I fully understand the business model that Four Horsemen has, but it's just
and it's a smart model too, right? Because it ensures that your retailers are going to get a set amount of profit. And for people like me, where it's like, again, I can't do the all in from them. So I cherry pick what I can from them. But then I'm immediately going to the retailer because, again, it's not nearly as high as what you're going to pay on secondary markets for it.
That's
Plus,
sure.
the nice thing is, it's like what Aaron has said quite a few times on live streams that they get a good amount of profit, like one of the best profit margins from Mythic. So even though they're in the price, they're still giving the retailers that's why they're choosing
the mistake of I was, I've been loving this guy, and I thought, a second one would be cool. I'd love to have two. And I made the mistake of looking this guy up right now. I bought him when he first came out, so I got the regular price.
Yeah,
these guys on the secondary market are nuts prices.
They're almost the cost of an all-in.
They had the white troll with the Cyclops eye at PowerCon for $70, and I chose to go with two other Mythic Legions figures instead of that one. And I wish I would have just gone with the damn troll now.
The troll, because
these guys are they're so much fun, but they're beefy.
Yep. But again, you get that Store Horseman price, and that's where you get your value, right? Yep. And even if you're buying from a retailer versus wait until they're only available on the secondary market.
Is that one of these guys?
Yeah, it's the trolls.
Same body.
So to put that in perspective, right? This character is $169.
Yep.
One of the all-ins from Helidope. So that's Helidope pricing. So it's already marked up because of the retailer pricing.
Yep.
Which one is it? So the Zaxxas Outpost that I had to get through them. That was like $321 for an entire, set of figures. So like when you put that in perspective compared to this guy, and this isn't even going to like eBay or whatever. This is going, and I don't know what that one that you were looking at specifically, Largo, is, but like that's all that's a monster price figure right there.
It is.
yeah.
So that's part of the reason that I'm strongly considering, shifting away from, like I said, I was talking to Highly Articulated, because he's into the Joy toys a bit, to some degree. And when we were talking about it, I was just like, yeah, the Joy toys are relatively expensive. They're, for a 1/18th, you're talking, $45 for one of the cooler figures. If you're getting a mech, or you're getting, any other side piece that comes with it, you're looking at $85 to $130. But they had a huge deal. And this goes back to my whole thing, is like, if I can get a good price on it, even if it's not something I'd like, if it's outside of what I plan to spend this month, I'm just like, can I do it? Because I'd much rather, like today there was a fairly good Joy Toy deal in place. On their website direct, it's a little bit longer of a shipping time and stuff, but I was able to do it. And I got 7 figures, a 3-pack and a 4-pack from them. And it was I figured it out to be like $23.25 a figure, which for a Joy Toy, that's a huge savings.
It's a huge price jump,
Right.
Like, that's nice to get that kind of a discount when you can.
Right. Exactly.
Well,
so that's the hard part for me.
At PowerCon, they had that green ogre scale dude. What's his name, Oz? The green ogre scale dude. They have the statue of him.
Oh, the orc. What's his fucking name? Orthok or something like that.
Yeah. So they had him on the table for like $50, I think, or something like that.
Yep.
And other retailers at the con that had him, since he was out a long time ago, were selling him secondary prices, and they were selling him for like $120, right? But you could walk over to Four Horsemen table and pick them up for $50. It was like,
well, that's why it doesn't, unless you've got older stuff that won't make an appearance on the Horseman's table, it's almost not even worth it for a retailer to bring Legions to any convention that the Horsemen are at, right?
Right.
Like, because if you can grab it off the Horseman's table, you get it cheap. You get it cheaper than you get it from the retailers. It's more expensive than when it's available initially on the Store Horseman. Store Horseman is the cheapest value you get.
Yeah, they only had though like $3 because we figured it out, right? It was 37 pre-order for a regular figure.
Right, and then they were charging $40 a table, right? And it varies based off of scale and what the figure is. It's not always just like they add $3 on, but it basically like rounds it up to whatever the next whole dollar amount's going to be.
It's like 10% increase or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So
it's too bad that like at those cons, because that's the hard thing about cons, and leads down a whole. I'll talk about it after. I didn't mean to cut you off, Oz. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, like, you never really know what the Horsemen are going to have at their table because they do hold a certain amount of stock back. But like something like him, he was on a wave that had been out since like 2022.
Yeah, he's an older figure.
So like the fact that he was on the Horsemen's table was kind of a surprise.
Yeah.
But it's still a drag for the retailers because they know as long as it's sitting on that table, they're not going to be able to move that.
An old figure. I doubt they even thought that Horseman would have.
Oh yeah,
There's probably a couple of cases they found sitting in the warehouse somewhere that they didn't.
And that's typically kind of how it goes, right? Because they do hold that inventory back, and then there's like some box off in a corner somewhere, and that's like when they do their in stock sales, right? Like we've seen a couple of those now.
Yep.
And one of their most recent ones, they had a couple of the rarer and harder to find figures.
Yeah.
And it was because they literally just had like one or two sitting around the office.
Yeah. And those are
they're like,
okay. You even get logged into your account.
Yeah. They just go ahead and put it up. And then, before you can even have a chance to enter your password, it's sold out by somebody who was sitting there waiting.
Right.
They're just like, oh man, I'm going to sit here all day and wait for the next in stock sale.
Yep.
Yeah, so what I was alluding to there before is that's unfortunate because those cons, right? And I'll just use PowerCon as an example, right? Like they're not cheap to get a booth at.
No.
I signed up way late in the game because Hexastat came out, in my mind, and I was pushed by some family. I wanted to go there as a attendee, but some family members are like, dude, if you're really pushing this and you're in the middle of Kickstarter, get out there and get in front of people. So I ramped up and did that. So spur of the moment. So I got stuck with a corner booth, which are a little bit more costly. It was like $500 for the booth for the weekend. So
right.
I'm not a retailer, so I'm not running into the issue. But like when folks like me and I'll just use Helidope and the guy that was next to me that was selling skateboards and stuff, they're all paying. They're paying for those booths, but the ones that, and this isn't criticizing folks like Four Horsemen or Valaverse, those guys, they're getting paid to be there. They're getting comp deals on certain things, right? Like they're getting paid to come out and be at those cons in some cases, not every case, but they're getting because they're gonna draw a lot more foot traffic than you and I are, Oz, right? Like,
of course, yeah.
So they're the big draw.
Yeah,
you got to bring them
discounted
in.
Room rates, discounted booth rates, also.
Exactly. So they're getting that situation is what I will understand. So, based on that information, it's unfortunate that as a retailer, if I'm a retailer and if I'm just only selling Four Horsemen, I wouldn't want to bring that merch there. And I secondly would not be sure, like if I'm only a Four Horsemen guy, I'm like, I'm not going to go to a con that they're going to be at with their own product because I'm competing to sell against them. And theirs is a cheaper price. It's not like Vala, who he's got his set price on his Action Force figures at his booth. They're the same price as they are from me. So you can go to him, you can meet him and see his dios and all that stuff, but I'm not competing to beat his price. To me, at a con, that's not fair. So that kind of would, like, as a retailer, I feel like that Horseman, it would be a really cool move that if they followed the same pricing model, like don't compete with your retailers, because one, you're doing a benefit to the convention that you're at, that is essentially spaces being provided to you by the retailers that are on the floor that are paying $500 or $250 for a booth. It's unfortunate that they don't follow the same pricing model that they require their retailers.
I was a retailer, I'd go to that con, every con that NECA's at, with a shit ton of NECA product, because NECA shows everything off and they sell nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But like, I wouldn't go, like, I wouldn't show up to like PowerCon next year. I wouldn't go there with McFarlane figures. If I was selling McFarlane figures, the guys were giving them away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally, like, the stuff was being handed out by them over and over again. If you're a retailer that came with a bunch of McFarlane and a custom, and you were lucky enough to get a customer in the door that came right to you and grabbed that McFarlane and then goes down the hall and sees all those Black Adam figures getting handed out for free, you're gonna have one pissed off consumer.
Someone was saying that the Reverse Flash is going for a decent penny. I got one for free, gave it to Aaron for his kid.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case, but like, how, like, as a retailer at those cons, that would really burn my butt, is to know that I'm competing with them, and that would be unfortunate. If they're the same price, I can deal with it. But knowing that I have to now,
that's one of the reasons that Ted and Aaron are kind of backing off doing a bunch of cons this year, just because it's
it
not
makes sense,
worth
right?
it. It's not worth it.
If you look at for people like Helidope, no, right? Like, you don't see like a BBTS at a con, right?
Right.
But the guys like Wolf King Customs, right?
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. They have that other piece.
Exactly, because they're selling their custom goods that go with the figures.
Yeah.
And again, in a lot of cases, they have older stock.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas, Ted and Aaron, they just recently became a retailer. They don't have older stock. They only have what's been available to them since they became a retailer.
Yeah, and poor Ted and Aaron, they had, other than the NECA, they had Four Horsemen, which were there.
Yep.
They had the
AWOC.
The AWOC, which were there, selling off their table. Tim Clark, what the hell, the
Boglins.
Yeah.
Tim Clark was there selling Boglins cheaper off of his table.
Oh, they had the guys there, the guys that make the robots that they were
and then they had
Nacelle.
Nacelle.
They weren't selling, but they were there. Yeah.
I'm saying Tim Clark was selling his stuff cheaper. Spiro was, Mythic Legions was, and then
Spiro wasn't selling cheaper, was it?
No, it was like the same price.
Oh, no.
Or it may have only been like $1 or $2 more.
I think it's going to go to, right? If you're going to a con, you're going to go to talk to Spiro or Bobby Vala, or are you going to go over to Helidope and buy your stuff? I mean,
I only went for the exclusives.
Well, first off, if I was buying any Action Force stuff, I'd buy it from Helidope Toys as opposed to Bobby. So that's just a personal thing.
Yeah. But I say, a normal person at a con, they're going to want to go talk to Jason. They're going to want to go talk to
exactly.
Talk to Jeremy at Four Horsemen. That's the draw.
They want to talk to the guys that are making the toys.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for us, we're friends with Ted and Aaron. So we naturally want to go talk to them. And naturally, we want to support them over anybody else, right? Because, I mean, they're our boys. And we take care of our own.
Yep.
Did anybody watch the Nerdies?
I did
caught a
not
little
watch
bit of
the
it.
Nerdies.
Oh, I did. I was shocked that AWOC didn't get a single figure. I was mentioning that to Ed earlier today. They didn't get a single. At least I didn't catch that. They didn't get a nod for any of it. I was really surprised because they have such a quality product.
Does
but-
Nerdzoic have AWOC on his site though? I don't think he does.
I thought he did.
I don't think he does.
Well, we still got the Jeffries coming up in a couple of weeks too from Toy Anxiety. So
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah,
the Jeffries.
What's that?
I only tuned in to see if Chad would win for Rookie of the
Yeah.
Year. So
Right,
I was
for
happy
Rookie
to
of the
see
Year.
that.
It was
He's not a
between him
rookie,
and
but you know,
Yeah.
it was between him and a Punk with Toys I was rooting for. So
yeah.
But the
So like I was telling
Jeffries
Travis
is
though,
Toy
with
Anxiety's
AWOC,
awards.
I think AWOC isn't as popular as it could be because of the limited characters that they have, right? Everything was a monkey or a cat. And
Yep.
I think if you're a certain type of person, you really groove with that sci-fi tech barbarian-esque that they have going on. But I think when they come out with newer lines that have, the rabbits and the other figures and the hyena and all that stuff, I think it'll get a really big resurgence and its popularity when they get that out.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like is it like a wolf, a cyber wolf that's going to be in like one of the newer
Yeah, that's
Void.
the hyena, dude.
Yeah, the Void. He's coming out soon. He's a whole.
They have the Void, and then they have a regular hyena or whatever that they showed off at PopCon.
Yeah, and Brick and Adam are talking about it like that, and again, just like every other toy company out there, they got to use a lot of shared and reused parts, and then as they start making money, they can afford the better tooling, and they've got several more bucks on the way, and including some female figures that are going to be coming down the line, and that's where we'll really start to shake things up.
That's what I'm saying. When those new characters come out, there'll be a big resurgence in the AWOC love, I think.
Right. Yeah, AWOC kind of like it cooled down a little bit because Lock came out kind of all at once, and then they were trying to get things sorted, and then the next waves were coming out and everything like that, and then like the third wave's coming out, and
I think they also lost a lot of steam from not being able to develop the game.
Yes, I was going to say that's the other portion here, right? Like they spent a lot of time, there was a lot of development, and even in just the figures that could be made, that were sold for the game basically. And then it's like, well, then there's no game now. And that really, really kind of like put a downer on things because there was a lot of people hyped for that concept.
Oh yeah, there's people that were buying multiples of the army builders just for the game play, right? And now the game here, so
and now that's not a thing. So that definitely soured some people.
I was like buyer number 2 on that when they announced it on Kato's, and I was trying to get it. I wanted.
I was really hyped.
I'm a little out of the loop on that. Is it never ever going to happen, or just on the back burner kind of thing?
It's never going to happen.
I think it got put on a permanent hiatus. Let's put it that way.
That's. I got refunded for my down payment on it and my pre-order. So my expectation at this point right now is until there's some other further development or announcement, I don't foresee it.
I would say that Jeremy and his brother will probably put out some type of game that's similar, but for just a military in general type of theme or something like that, right?
Right. It's not going to involve
used for Battleverse, classifieds, Monster Force, all of it together, right? That kind of
toy.
Any kind of figure you want to put on there, right?
Right. It'll be like a gaming system,
right?
Kind of thing, like a system. Not.
I still think it needs. I still think it needs to. I think the downfall was that they didn't have stands to use them on.
Stack to go with
they didn't have stands to just build the board.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it's big missed opportunity right there.
And had they made all board squares into hexes, they could have put more hexes in the board.
And I mean, there's already a basis for that out there. I mean, there's this little game here. Like as soon as you showed them off, I was like, Hero Clicks.
Yeah.
So hey, there it is.
Exactly.
Right? You can't say it won't work. It's happened. It's been done.
Right.
Just revolutionizing it to the next level.
Exactly. Yeah, I was really pumped about that. Like, to me, I've always wanted to do like the D&D, and I've always wanted to. When I was like, must have been 11, 12 years old, a buddy of mine's dad, who was a big comic book nerd, Like he had tons of comics, but he also had some board games. And we were over at his house, and he had like this Axis and Allies game back then. And I'm like, what is this? And it was like Risk on crack.
Axis and Allies.
And,
oh yeah,
yeah. It was like Risk
that's
for
old
like.
school.
Oh yeah. Well, G.I. Joe just announced that they're doing it. They're doing it. So, and yeah, you're right. Toy Domination is, and actually, I just watched his video today. It was really cool. I had some talks with him in a chat. He used some, so I've known about him for a while because I knew he'd do some live streams where he's doing gaming and stuff. Seems like a really cool dude. He and I were fortunately able to connect on Instagram today with some chatting because I commented on his recent video. He does a little kind of story, like it's not stop motion. It's just really, to me, it's really cool the way he was able to capture the cinematic different angles and stuff and kind of tell a story without it being stop motion.
Right.
So I messaged him like, this is cool. I look forward to it. So hopefully he'll keep doing some more. But I connected with him a brief bit.
Yeah,
he does some stuff there too.
What's neat with Dom too is he's been playtesting this for years with his kids and friends. So he knows it's a solid concept. It works.
Well, I mean, he's even showed that it works online because with myself and the guy from Legion's class, we played the game using our Mythic Legions figures. And then Jesse and I went over to his channel to play the game one Thursday night. As a matter of fact, I'll be on with him again tomorrow night. We're not going to be playing the game as much, but we're going to be talking about a lot of cool stuff tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about, some exciting, what we're excited about in toys for the upcoming year and everything like that. He just reached out to me this weekend. I was like,
you gotta help me get over there when I'm ready in the next couple of weeks there, Oz. I mean, I've been talking to Dom a little bit on my own here.
But
I'd love to get in front of his stuff.
Oh, I'm sure he would definitely have you on. I know he would.
He's got to have me come play the game at some point too,
Right?
I'm a Joy Toyer, so
I love Dom's game. Like, I think it's great.
This is for you, Oz.
Yes, Payne, I am here.
Has arrived.
Oh.
That's right. The abyss.
Well, and one of the things I appreciate about Oz is his ability to help other little guys like us with smaller channels to network and connect. Because I love doing collaborations with folks. So I've gotten to meet a lot of cool folks through hanging with Oz that I don't normally meet, except maybe in a chat here and there. And that's given me opportunities to, like have Allison on the Infinite playlist, which was super cool. Right. She's awesome. We'll have some other guys, gals coming in the future. So
at some point, I'll get a list over to you, Largo. I was just talking about it Ed the other day, and he's like, "Let's go with this list, Travis. I think you'll be better off suited with this one." I'm like, "Okay, let's do that." So
Oz is going to get one to me too. He's got to get around to it for his office first. So.
That's one of the worst parts is like every time I sit down at the desk to go do something and then I start getting flooded with messages from people.
I've already given Largo 3 playlists.
I know.
All right there.
I don't know how to approach it because like there's like music, like it's everyone knows it, right? Like music brings you back to moments in your life, and it brings you to a place in your mind and what you were dealing with. Like just for instance, Ed, we were talking the other day, like where I am at life and the music I listen today is vastly different than, I still listen to my Linkin Park and Disturbed, but the music I listen today is vastly different. Stuff I would never have listened to when I was 15 years old, which is like, where I would say like in the teenage years was like where I defined my music. But then like fast forward to like, 26, 27, 28 years old. My wife had our third kid. We were living in a townhouse. I wanted to buy a house. I started delivering pizzas in the evenings to save money to be able to buy a house. And, I'm listening in the car. My wife's got me listening to Darius Rucker sometimes when we're driving around. And now when I'm out delivering pizzas, I was flipping between, the Ramsey show where they talk about, saving money and stuff. Because
Gordon Ramsay.
Right. Yeah. Or not Gordon Ramsay. That's the cook.
No, the other guy.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
The money guy, right? To save money. I was listening to him, how to save money and stuff. Don't get a car. Don't do this. So if I wasn't listening to him, I was listening to Darius Rucker and country music, which is like coming from the guy who, when he was like 12, 13, 14, it was Ozzy and Metallica, Black Sabbath, and then Marilyn Manson, and then, Limp Bizkit, Korn, like all that stuff. So it's like,
I'll tell you what I tell everybody else, because I know the reason we picked 10 songs is because that fits in an hour schedule. Usually we can talk about 10 in an hour and give time to, expand on it a little bit. But don't overthink it, man. Just whatever you're listening to this week, whatever's on your playlist right now, just go with that.
Ed said no.
His current playlist is not appropriate for the air.
Oh, it's one of those. Hey, we've had some interesting stuff. I mean, look at what Aaron.
His normal playlist
Ted
would make
brought.
it, but the one that he really wants to do would definitely not be appropriate for the air.
It's probably not the best. My wife doesn't
Fair
let me
enough.
listen to it when the kids are in the car.
So you need to listen to Darius Rucker and Dex together, Travis.
Oh, I love that song. Dax actually performs with, So Dax is a really, I like him. He's a cool dude. But I did that song. I actually absolutely love. That's like one of my top favorite songs right now.
That's the one I introduced Jim to that song too. You know that song, Jim?
Oh yeah, that was the one you sent me
the fathers or dads, right?
Yeah. About being a man. Yep.
Being a man. Yep. I love that song, dude. Like, that's a really cool one. So I'll put a list together for you, Largo. We'll do something, man. And
cool.
Punk suggesting I should write my own songs, and they should all be like, I should go grab all my favorite top 10 songs. Then I'll go to AI and I'll have AI rewrite the lyrics so they're all hexastack.
You've got a couple of hexastack jingles already started, dude. Just put them together. You're good to go. Put a little chorus in between them. You're set.
Yeah.
And everybody's gonna watch that Infinite playlist. Go, what the fuck is this?
It's an original. Shut up.
It's an O. Yeah. So no, that's cool. Yeah, I'll get some stuff over to you. I love what you do there, Largo.
Thanks.
I mean, I haven't listened to a lot of the playlists. So one of the things that you put the playlist on your show so people like a list of the songs so people can grab them. Do you create a playlist in like Apple or anything like that?
I
so
do.
People can just go snag it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I create it in YouTube so that you can just open another YouTube window and pull up the videos from either the YouTube Music or Vimeo or whatever they call that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it just makes it more convenient for guys. If you're already in YouTube, you can just pop open another window and there's the playlist. You can watch the video.
Have you put all the current playlists
just
that have been done together yet into one big playlist?
I did sort of, kind of. There's another playlist on my channel called Largo's Playlist, and it has a ton of just my personal stuff. And every time I get a list from folks, I add a few of those to that list. So that's kind of the
pretty inclusive.
It's pretty inclusive.
As you pick up Steam, what might be cool, Largo, is to go to like Apple Music, because like I'm an Apple Music subscriber, and like if you could, I don't know, like I know you can publicly share playlists, so people can just grab the playlist. It'd be kind of cool if it picks up enough steam and everything, and it makes sense to just kind of put that out there. It might be kind of cool.
But don't you have to pay for
Largo's already going to start. He's going to start one of his own Spotify channels.
Yeah,
sure.
And he's going to load all the music onto there, and he's going to call it the Infinite Playlist. And you just
Spotify's like that kid stuff, man. That's what all the teenagers are using. I don't use that. I use Apple Music.
I'm so far behind on tech. I'm still trying to figure out Napster. Okay.
I've got bad news for you.
It doesn't end well. It doesn't
in the near future. It doesn't end well.
Don't spoil it for me. I haven't. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I got my fingers in a lot of irons in the fire right now. Infinite Playlist is kind of a fun thing I do on the side. We'll look at spinning that up into something else maybe later, but we're doing a lot of storytelling stuff this year. We're putting out all kinds of new stuff.
The fact that Radnom wrote that there, that just makes me that brings me back to like 99 when
that's the problem I'm having, right? I'm putting together this feel good vibe list, basically music that I listen to when I'm stoned. And I keep having the Winamp thing run, and I'm playing these tripping visuals, and I get lost.
That makes
what the hell was I doing again?
Damn, it makes me think back with like the PlayStations when you used to be able to pop the disc in.
Yep, just pop the music disc in and let it play.
It would go green and it would just do all that funky like.
Well, and you can change the visual too if you pushed in the analog sticks.
Yep, it just tapped them. It would tweak it.
Go to the next kind of visual. Yep, and that's literally how I spent quite a few of my teenage years with a PlayStation, putting in a disc and couple of bowls, and next thing I know, I'm eating cereal. Like, whoa, what?
I'll tell you guys, the trick to doing the playlist is you just come up with like 10 songs that are basically like the songs that you'd want to listen to on any day, right? Not the ones you currently listen to, not the ones that mean a lot of stuff, just like 10 songs that you've always really kind of enjoyed that are a mix of everything, right? And then put those 10 down.
For sure.
Because otherwise you're just going to spin your wheels. That's what I did, right? I just kept going and going and going. And then finally I was like, no, this isn't working.
Right. And we're talking about maybe doing some theme shows where we'll do like soundtracks from favorite movies. We touched on that a little bit with our buddy Stu from Universal Toy Collector. We did that last year. Gojitron brought us
did a lot of
some theater stuff.
Yeah.
We thought like
Stu is
Allison
good
wants
people.
to do like an all 70s list. I'm like, yeah, why not?
Well, yeah.
we'll
I
play
mean,
with that.
there's quite a lot of 70s, 60s, and 70s music I listen to.
Oh yeah. So there's a lot of possibilities. It's very open ended. The whole thing is just having fun, talking with folks who are generally toy centric in what they do, but talking about something other than toys.
On our list, when me and Luke did it, Travis, I had punk music, I had shit from the 40s, and we had shit from the 80s and the 90s. So it's all good, man.
I laugh right now.
Oh, go ahead.
No, Travis. Go.
I was gonna say, Largo, what if I did top 10 wrestling entrance themes for my first one?
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go, dude.
Unique.
That
It's
would
a
be
little
sweet.
different. It's a little different.
Number one, hands down, Shawn Michaels. I'm sorry. He's got one of the greatest entrance musics of all time.
I don't think that would be my favorite.
I just think.
I mean, Shawn, I love. He's my favorite wrestler, but I don't know that I would give his music my top music. There's some music out there that I definitely would. Like, I'm thinking through my head. I'm like, okay, I could come up with 10 of my top favorite wrestling music.
Randy Orton.
My only caveat to that is when you send me the list, you need to send me which wrestler goes with which one. Because I kind of stopped watching wrestling around the time of the Piper's Pit. So I'm not up with the hip stuff. So.
I got you. Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be the name of the, because I don't even know the names of the songs. I'll be going to Apple Music and I'll be typing in the wrestler and then trying to find the appropriate time in which their music's there.
Yeah, that's the problem. Because when they first started doing the WWF CDs, right? And it was like you had Undertaker, but it was like Undertaker from when he first appeared in 1990. And then on the second CD, you had Undertaker theme, but it was like his ring music from 94 to 96.
Right. It's like which era are we talking? Yeah.
Sean's top 10 in everything wrestling related, Punk. There's no arguing it. It doesn't matter. He could be the top 10 heel, top 10 babyface, top 10 champion. He's the top 10 best tag team. You
gotta put Punk's a Punk with toys, not CM Punk's. You gotta put Punk's entrance music to TKO this past weekend in there.
What is it?
Well, it started off with Shawn Michaels and then very quickly ran into the Kurt Angle's "You Suck."
Wait, that happened?
You did? Oh, you see, you got to go watch Ken's 5,000 subscriber celebration live stream.
I saw that. Ken actually clipped that and sent that directly to me.
Yeah.
He actually clipped that section because I came into the stream after Punk joined and was listening. I missed it. Ken was nice enough to just send that out to me.
He said that he was saying, like, as I joined in, I was talking with Ken before the stream. He was like, I'm going to play this when he comes on, and he played the Kurt Angle theme, and it's an edit of that because it's like part of the actual entrance music. And then he found an audio clip of them chanting "You suck" because that's not actually part of the song.
Right. No.
And he clipped those together. And he was like, I'm going to play this when Lawrence did. And he was like holding his phone up. And I was like, well, why don't you just load up the MP4 to the music in StreamYard? And then Ken started doing that. And I was like, you know, it'd be even funnier, though, if you added HBK's music to the start of it. So he thought it was going to be that. But then when he did that and he went to go play it, like it cut like just too much of the HBK theme. And it only hit because he had it on loop. So it picked up where he had paused it. And then played it, and it was like this short little clip of the HBK music, and straight into like the "You Suck" chant.
I did get the clip, which was cool. I did see that. I thought it was great. I was like, that's good.
That's awesome.
I missed that. I would have missed this. I was really happy that he shared it with me because I got a good kick out of that.
Yeah, it was.
That's what I'll get you, Largo. You'll get the. You get.
All right, that'd be
it makes sense, right?
Sure.
It's my. It ties back to me and everything that I've always talked to and been a fan of.
Yeah,
I think that's a good way to go. Yeah, I like the idea of doing themes, and that's a good one. You know,
right? Well, that's my idea. Feel good theme. That's what I want to have for my first playlist.
Good
and I'll be like, This is the pissed off playlist.
Yeah, it's like last year. I collabed with Ken on the Beasties and Baddies. It's like I want to do a good villain one, but it's like, what do we want to do? It's like Ken always loves talking wrestling, but he always feels bad because it's like I should be talking about the toys, but I really want to talk about the wrestling. It's like, well, let's talk about the bad boys of wrestling. So we did a show on that, and
that was like my favorite one, Largo. I love that.
Yeah,
that was so much fun.
That was,
he gets so animated when he starts talking NWO era and everything going on, and it's like, he's an encyclopedia of wrestling knowledge. So it's like, that's cool, man.
I told Ken,
you should hear him talk about hockey.
I'm gonna have to start. I'm gonna have to start my own. I'm gonna have to start my own, and it'll just be something that I do fill in there, talk about wrestling, since it's something like the encyclopedia. Literally, one of the gifts I got for Christmas this year, which was really cool because I got the original one when they came out with it back when my wife and I got married. It was our first Christmas together, and she got me an old one, the original one that they came out with. So I had this on my want list for Amazon, and she got me this for Christmas this year. So it was like,
that's really fucking
it's got
great.
Everything in here. Like you've got Freddie Joe Floyd and Frenchie Martin. Like
I hope you take care of that girl, Travis. You got a good woman. She buys you
my wife's amazing.
And wrestling encyclopedias.
She hates wrestling. She doesn't care about my, as she refers to it, my men in plastic tighty whities, because that's that's what my daughter and my wife refer to it now. Is it's my men in my plastic men in tighty whities is what she refers to my toys, because for the longest time I only collected wrestling figures. It was my sons who got into the other toy lines, which then got me into grabbing the Joes and things like that.
And now look where you're at.
Oh God. Oh God. Yeah. Yep. I just opened up last week. My youngest wanted to get on the floor and use some of the WWE guys, and he had me finally open up my my Mattel exclusive whatever they call it. They're funded. They're HasLab versions of the ring with the old superstar entrance ramp or entrance, and it came with
that's huge, man.
It came with Diesel and Doink and Macho and whatnot. And I have from when my oldest was younger and the Mattel stuff first came out, and I was like, this is so cool. The Jax figures were all the same height. They were all like, yes, some were fatter than others, but they were all the same size. But Mattel came out and they said, we're going to make these to scale. So like when that happened, I got out the tools and I built an entire arena to scale, built a ring, having wrestled. I was like, I know exactly how to build a ring. I know how I can make one of these. Like, this is all I need. I will build a miniature version of a real life ring. And, outside of the spring, it was basically the same thing. And I built that. And then they extreme back sets or extreme stages.
Mm-hmm.
Sets.
The extreme sets. They started out as a wrestling arena. Like their first thing that ever really started picking up.
That's what Frank uses for a lot of his backdrops.
Yeah. So I have like the original. I have the original going back to like 2012, 13 when they came out, and I got two of them that all hooked together. And then Ringside used to sell like the barricades, so I got that. So I pulled all that out of the big blue 40-gallon tank, and my son was like, oh, and the 700 WWE guys that are down there, or as my wife refers to them, the men in plastic, the men in tighty whities, are all over the floor, and we're enjoying those. But
how long did you wrestle for?
Well, he played for a while.
No, I'm asking how long you did for.
So I wrestled I did some backyard stuff when I was younger.
No, I'm talking about with your toys the other day with your son.
Oh, see, I didn't.
I know he only lasted probably half an hour. You were probably going for like 3, right?
I didn't play with him at all, really. I just helped him pick things out, and I built the ring because it was the first time I had opened it, so I put it all together for him. So I was like, just set it up, kind of toying around with it that way. But because it's all that stuff is right in the basement, because the basement's split into like 3 sections. There's the section which is an in-law suite, which has got my mom's full space where she lives, and then on the other side of the basement's basically cut in half. There's the kind of like kids playroom area, which it's not really a playroom because they're all older now, so it's just really a TV and some video games, and then it's like all my wrestling figures and some board games and things, and then the other quarter of the basement is the Hexastack stuff, which you've seen on on screens before with all the racks and everything that I'm building down there. So when I got him situated, we just turned on like SmackDown or Monday Night Raw, and we had that on the big screen down there watching that. And I was, working away on stuff on the Hexasac side. So yeah.
One of the things that I like is, after playing with Connor for some time, sitting back and just watching him play with it. Like when I bring down, Castle Grayskull, and I pull out like all the Motu toys and stuff like that, and I play with them for a bit, and then just coming off of it, and like I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna go get some coffee, and I'll step outside, and then I'll come back in, and I'm just watching him play for a few minutes, watching the crazy shit he gets. There's something just so satisfying, and again, it still hits that nostalgia because I'm remembering me doing that, just exactly what he's doing. It's
Absolutely.
great, man. It's one of the best things in life.
It's so fun. I never experienced that. Until my youngest. My youngest, I started to experience it because my oldest, I would outplay him every time. It's the joke it's the joke my wife tells everyone. He would sit there and I come over and I tap, because I've said this before. I think I said on Aaron's show before, is that I never really learned how to collaboratively play. I have always played in a parallel state. Like, you can have your ring and your figures. Like when me and my brother were growing up, it was, hey, let's pick which guys you're using, which one I'm using. You can play over here. I'll play here. But there, Raw or wrestling would be on, whatever, but we were playing independently together. So that's how I played with my oldest, and he would eventually disappear and I would still be playing. And that's the joke my wife would always make, is that, oh, Travis is, still playing 30 minutes after his kids run away and are tired of it. But my youngest, as long as the TV's on, so he's still, to this day, he's still like, if the TV's on something, whatever it is that he's playing is typically what's in front of him. So if he happens to be playing with wrestlers, it would be wrestling is on. If he was playing with Marvel, it would be the MCU stuff on TV. So yes, Punk, I do not play well with others. I will put you through a I'll put you through a barbershop window is pretty much how it's going to start and end. And then, so he'll still play, which is impressive to me. So he can outplay me when it comes to that stuff. Like, turn on the TV, he'll find something to watch, and then he'll be like, oh, running upstairs, grabbing those toys, or, like for the AWOCs, put on like Thundercats or He-Man for him, so that he has some of that like 80s nostalgia, cartoon stuff for him. He'll sit there and, he'll grab those and he'll run around with those for hours.
Well, that was how, with Connor, that's how I kind of started to find like Toy Tube in general. And, he would be watching whatever weird YouTube video he was watching, and then he started watching the Ryan's Toys videos, right? Like, if you ever seen that little kid who ended up starting his own toy company, he's apparently the richest kid in YouTube. Yeah, if you ever look him up, Ryan's Toys, and now you can find his toys in Walmart and stuff like that. But it started with like him and his family just doing like some toy reviews, like Paw Patrol or whatever. And then Connor started watching this guy Kev's toy reviews, and Kev's toy reviews were he would get like a lot of the Imaginext stuff, and that's where Connor stumbled upon Power Rangers.
Oh,
because they were doing like those Imaginext Power Rangers, and then it was like, he would sit there and watch him, and then like we'd start seeing the toys, and he'd start pointing them out while we were in store. So we started getting them for him. And then I showed him the actual show. But I noticed like he was really getting into those. So like we just bought him all the Power Ranger Imaginext stuff. And then even when him and his mom and I split, when I moved out, I bought him all the same stuff again, with some stuff that we didn't get while his mom and I were still together. Just because it was like, he really enjoys these so much. And like we started buying other sets, and then the Power Rangers would go and, save the archaeologists from like the Mummy's Temple and stuff. But like he was acting out all these adventures and stuff. And it was very similar to like, what Kev's toy review was. And then I was like, well, what other stuff they got? And I started finding a couple He-Man videos, stumbled across Pixel Dan and everything. And that was how like I got introduced to this whole side of YouTube, and I was like, you know what, this is pretty cool. And then here I am, a part of it all these years later.
My son started watching something. He watches something that's on the, I always forget what it's called, but he watches it. They play with toys, but they also play wrestling video game on there and stuff. It's actually on the TV. I don't know what it is. Like he finds it on like the free Roku TV or something sometimes, but he also finds it on YouTube, and I can't think of what it's called, but it's like a father and son, and like they play the wrestling and WWE games together. They get the wrestlers in the ring and they just shake the table and like see who wins the battle royal by shaking the tables.
Right, see balls out. Yeah, I've seen that.
Like, so he watches that a lot.
Yeah, our play patterns evolve as we move on in life, and I'm really enjoying discovering, toy photography and some of the storytelling with the Axis of Awesome. Since I got hooked up with Ed and Jeff and Adam and those guys, and seeing how they take their collections and they're just like, you know what? I'm not just going to leave this on the shelf in a vanilla pose. I'm going to put it in a story. I'm going to do something and create my own fiction. I'm like, hell yeah, man. That's so cool.
Well, that's what I like. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just going to say we're going to experiment a little bit with that this year and
excited to
try that with some other different scales and see if we can get some guys to get jazzed about doing that kind of stuff.
I got a good one cooking, Jim.
Nice.
That's
Looking
great.
forward to that.
Well, John, Emerald Knight Photos, he just recently with a couple of his guys, the other toy photographers, they've always had that geeked out click on IG, and now they've started doing a YouTube channel where they all get together and talk once a week on Tuesdays, which has been nice. But there's like a whole community of toy photographers and stuff on IG that do their little IG lives, and I've watched them and stuff like that, and I've talked to a couple of them. And then I know a couple of you guys popped on there last night, like you were on there, Travis. Punk, we saw you pop up in the chat.
I popped on a little bit.
Yeah, you guys all popped on and watched it. But that guy Skydro Walker, him and his buddies, they're always doing stuff. And I didn't realize they'd been watching us live on on the clubhouse on Saturday nights. Now he's like really pumped and excited because I told him, come on, join us,
was that the Instagram live the other day?
Yeah, that I was just on last night.
That was the one I popped into for like a brief second, and the guy looks like David Draymond from Disturbed. Like legitimately looks like the lead singer from Disturbed. I said it. I was like, dude, you look like the lead singer from Disturbed.
I saw that. That's Triple D. He's pretty fucking cool. That set he had across that table was really great.
So this is for you, Punk.
I'll be bringing you up on full screen.
There we go.
You give the kid finger articulation, and that's what he comes up with.
Yep. We've all waited years for finger articulation, so we can give the finger with it.
Finger articulation, but mechs having finger articulation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Well, back in the days of our Robotech toys and stuff like that, as kids, they didn't even have hands.
No.
We just had missile launchers and shit.
Grip on their 12-inch lines. It was one of the first things I did.
Joy Toy does some killer mechs. They're
beautiful.
So they do some really cool ones, and it sucks because they have some really cool ones that are 1/25th scale, and that burned me. I was like, I actually sent Hello Dope a message. I was like, is there any chance you're going to get these? So
there we go.
Hey Adam, I was looking for this one to see if they had it on there because I would have grabbed a second one, but I would have sent you a link to that one and convinced you to get that, like you're going to get your wolf.
You know which ones have been really cool that Adam has shown off that he's been picking up? Those Ninja Turtle mechs. Have you guys seen those?
No.
You got to go back and watch up some of Adam's videos from like last year. He's got like the Leonardo mech, Michelangelo mech. Oh man, those things are really awesome. There's like this whole very anime style-esque mechs, and I forget the company that's doing them, but man, they are gorgeous. And of course, like they kind of like open up.
Are they like the third-party Transformer kind of guys?
I'd like to say yes, but then not really, because they definitely Adam could say more, and he's in the chat, so he'll be able to tell you in the chat. But they're like, they are legit Ninja Turtle stuff, but it's like not. I think Nickelodeon's okayed it because they're the ones that own like the Turtle license stuff now. But because they're just selling that license to everybody. Yeah, he says, okay, so he's only got the Leo and the others are on the way, but imagine Gundam Turtles. And
Okay.
yes, that's what they are.
Nice.
And they're
Hold on
freaking amazing toys. But they got some weight on them. Yeah, imagine a Gundam, but it's a Ninja Turtle. And you can definitely, like, these things are awesome. And they come with great, like, different accessories and kit. And you can put the little turtles, like, they come with turtle pilots.
Nice.
It's just even better. It's not like they turned the turtles into these robot mechs. They've got the turtles themselves piloting them. They're beautiful, just beautiful figures. Like, seriously fun toys.
The Joy Toy. Look at that toe articulation. Unnecessary, but so freaking cool.
And yeah, right? Like, I'm sorry. When there's good, like, some people say some toys have too much articulation, but when it's done properly and they're not real loose, it's great. Because, you know, we've all gotten those superposable ones where there's just too much articulation, but then they can't, like, stand or do anything.
That was the problem with the super articulated Spider-Mans they used to do. They were
Right?
awesome for posing for the first few times, and then they were so loose that you couldn't get them to stand up.
About like the early 2000s?
Yeah.
No, even earlier than that, like the ones that came out back in like the 90s, the Toy Biz super articulated Spider-Man that
That's
like you could never
30
stand.
something points of articulation or whatever. If that, like, my son got some of those when he was like 3 years old and stuff.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of them, and I remember like they were like the Toy Biz, and they were really cool.
They were great.
Once they loosened up, it was just
you couldn't keep them together. Like they were just basically about to fall apart, or at least that's how they felt.
Luke had a bunch of those when he was a kid because he loved Spider-Man when he was little, and I got him a couple of those. He played with them for 5 minutes. And
the Mofex Spider-Man, the comic book version, it's like that sweet spot. It's got just enough articulation you can do all the poses you want from the comic books.
Yeah,
I still can't believe that gas mask is removable. That's craziness.
Dude, look at that. Zoom in real quick.
Yeah, crazy detail on those.
So this is the girl who comes with that mech that I just showed. She has a gas mask here, which comes off. It's not even like, it's not sculpted on. It's this little, very detailed gas mask. And like, it's just so freaking good, man. Like,
yeah. And their face sculpts are just crazy good.
And the paint apps on them too, which is the other great part, right? Because they're so small, but the paint apps are done right.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was like what I was saying about like with Delta 17, right? Like you look at a Joe and O-ring Joe, old school, and then you look at the Delta 17. The paint apps are just beyond. And Joy Toys got that same kind of approach, high detail paint apps. But that's
the one thing that I really like about the Delta 17 is that it's a O-ring style figure. But all the figures you can tell are different, right? Like Joe did a lot of reuse. Now that's just the way things are done. But it's you look at Delta 17, and every figure except for the army builders that are supposed to look similar look completely different.
Yep. And the sculpt work done by they got Tommy Hodges. He did a lot of it, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but that's because I haven't spoke to that guy. They were the ones that did like pretty much all the main sculpting for this first wave. And then there's going to be other sculptors on the next waves and stuff. And Tommy's still going to be doing some work too. But
it's going to be interesting to see the helicopter they come out with.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
So we were all privy to that information a little bit early. And like they said they were doing the hind, and like I lost my shit.
Yeah.
Because nobody's done like a accurate hind.
Yeah.
Like people have done hind inspired helicopters, but like this is the assault airship, the hind. So I can't wait till that comes out, man. I was all about ready to go like buy like that kids connection pack with that helicopter and everything. It's like $20 and you get a good set out of it. And then like he was like, well, we're gonna put out the hind, and I was like, fucking it, I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah.
What's Thanos saying? He's saying, I think I like a lot of articulation, but sometimes it's always he's saying right, like not a specific line. Sorry, okay.
Yeah, not any specific line, but sub toys that are overly articulated, they just don't feel sturdy anymore.
But like, look at like she sits in the mech so comfortably. Like, and the other thing is, and I don't know if anybody noticed this, but it took me a little while, is that these like the Joy Toys, all the ones that I've seen, they're all pinless. Like, there's no pins or anything like that, which is so freaking.
It's crazy.
Like,
they actually got a pistol in the mech's hand. That's just crazy.
Oh well, yeah. It comes with a pistol that goes in the mech's hand, and that's why I said like with the finger articulation, it's so cool.
That's just awesome.
Really well done.
Yeah.
It's like some real Appleseed style stuff.
Hold on, pull back in real quick one more time.
Yeah.
Exo Squad.
Yeah, Exo Squad. It was another great toy line that this kind of fills that void.
What? You got storage in the arm?
It's got like a compartment so you can store some extra stuff in there. Yeah, there was like some other parts that I didn't use that you can put in there. Yep.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, Exo Squad was really a great toy line.
I remember the Exo Squad stuff. Yeah.
And of course, at 1/18 scale, the accessories are all small enough where it's not taking up so much fucking space.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. That's what I was telling you, Ed. Like I
had that one sniper rifle from one of the Valiverse weapons packs, and it barely fits in the tray on my weapon storage box. It's so damn long. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, like, they have some bigger glorified weapons in the Joy Toy, and I think like that was something Punk pointed out, was like that like some of the weapons seem a little exaggerated in some of the characters, but I think that's just kind of mytho and the world style that they have. But like as a kid, I liked the Joes and I had them. We didn't have a lot of money, so I didn't have a ton of them. And again, I was bigger into wrestling, so my Joes became wrestlers. And then as I found the Corpse I think it was the Corp figures or whatever, they sold at like CVS and stuff, I would grab those, and they became wrestlers until the band snapped, because they were so flexible. They could do all the different moves until, my version of Bret Hart tried to put everybody in the sharpshooter, and he would snap their their rubber bands and stuff.
Who was Bret Hart?
What's that?
I said, who was Bret Hart?
Whichever one at the time looked the most
whatever
like
figure it was. You didn't have. You didn't have a special Bret Hart figure.
No, it was just made up to me at the time. But I could get 3 or 4 of those for $5 versus the $8 for the WWE official license stuff. So
that's why I had a ton of Sergeant Rock figures from KB Toys.
Oh yeah,
quarter inch had decent articulation, but they weren't articulated like Joe. But
well, that's kind of like the way it was.
They're like $1 compared to the 2.5 that Joe was. So
that's just the kind of the thing it was, though, right? Like G.I. Joe set that standard for articulation in a toy back then, because nobody else really had that many points.
Right?
No.
Right. And I mean, what they did was innovative and cool with the rubber band. It gave more flexibility and whatnot. I mean, that you went from having those staggered 5 points of articulation, Star Wars figures you couldn't do anything with, or as I recall it was the Spaceball figures that Dark Helmet would use when he was having his characters fornicate on the back of the ship. Which
Hasbro making G.I. Joe needed to have the articulation, considering that they developed articulation for action figures to begin with.
Right.
Yeah, well, that was the big shock, because
12-inch Joe,
when Kenner came out through the into the 90s, right, and they were still putting out 3 3/4 action figures for the Star Wars, but they had the big, first buffed out figures, which was just awkward. But then it was also that whole they were still only 5 POA, and it was why do they have such limited articulation? Like, a company has shown that you can do more articulation at this scale, and they do it better than just about anybody else. Yeah. Why are these still so?
Kenner was so focused though on play features in their figures,
they were
Superpowers line, right? Like the Superpower line said decent articulation, but they were more focused on their, the Flash being able to look like he's running, and Batman being able to punch, and Robin's karate chop. And they did the same thing with the Indiana Jones line.
Yeah, they got really happy on all the gadgetry, and then they started doing the oversized gadgets that could shoot stuff. And it's I don't want all that. I just want a figure that looks cool.
Yeah,
right. And when they did the Star Wars stuff, they did do some of those action gimmicks more for accessories and stuff than they did with the actual figures.
Yeah.
Because again, you had the Han Solo with the weird jetpack thing in the 90s.
Yeah.
Power
Now
of the
the-
Force.
Yeah.
stuff.
Force had all those weird things.
Yeah,
But, like,
the
even
crowd
back,
control stormtrooper was kind of cool though, because it was like I'm just picturing a SWAT stormtrooper
Yeah.
beating down a group of protesters.
but even back in the day, kind of like when they did the play sets, like there was a lot of play features.
Oh,
built
so
in,
many
the
play
Death Star and the Millennium Falcon and the AT Walker.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, like right, like the Millennium Falcon was way more than just a vehicle, right?
Yeah, for
Like it was a VHS set, you know.
Yeah.
That thing had tons of features, and I wish they had kind of done more with that, like, you know, some of those bigger vehicles, because they did release like a Rebel blockade runner, you know, the thing that the Star Destroyer runs
Yeah.
up on in the
Yep.
first movie. Like they did one of those, but like it didn't really have anything to it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could have opened that up and put some stuff in there. But I mean, I don't know. I guess after seeing the Cobra mothership, we've realized what the cost of that kind of tooling and engineering could have done.
Nowadays, for sure, right?
Because that thing, I
Yeah.
mean, don't get me wrong, it was an amazing, awesome VHS set, but it's just not something I could afford to go into. Ooh.
Yeah, you know,
Which
it's kind
one-
of a
which
missed
one was that?
opportunity when you think of lines like, you know, Flash Gordon when they did the cartoon, and then they had the figures. It's like, you know, in the cartoons and stuff, they always hung out on the ship, kind of
Yep.
like with the Millennium Falcon, whatever
Yep.
ship, you know, Flash had at the moment. But you know, those kind of things make a lot of sense. It's like that Naboo thing they did for the first prequel
Yeah.
movie, the big ship. It's like
Yeah.
that was sweet.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
the first time
Right.
they'd done a ship that you could use for 118 that you could fit more than just one guy. It's not a dogfighter.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right,
But, you
right.
know.
Like they, you know, and I mean, I get the appeal of like the single action figure fighter kind of thing, but you know, like that Millennium Falcon kind of set like a tone.
I think the
For-
problem is though is that after they created the Millennium Falcon, there were so many kids that probably dropped that damn thing trying to fly it that they wanted to stay away from the
Yeah,
ships as
that's
play sets,
true.
even though they essentially, I mean, that Millennium Falcon was designed as a play set, not a ship, right? So then
Right.
it's easier for a kid to run around with this X-wing in his hand or an A-wing in his hand than, you know.
Yeah, yeah, because even what they did, like the Shadows of the Empire line in, you know, the '90s, when they did Dash Rendar's Outrider, which was like their first new ship mold that they
Yeah.
did for anything, because everything else was just reuse from the original Kenner line.
Yep.
That was a brand new ship mold that they had to make, and that vehicle in the book kind of like replaced the Millennium Falcon for some things. So
Yeah.
there was like room in that ship for them to walk around and do stuff. But when you got the actual toy,
yeah,
you know, like, well,
Yeah.
first off, it was kind of like a representation of the B-Wing fighter that they just
Yep.
hadn't released yet with the way it's split and did that.
It probably
Right.
was a concept for a B-wing fighter before it was ever
Yeah.
Rendar's Outrider. But going back
Yeah.
to Flash Gordon, I mean, if you think about Gordon was made in the 60s, right? That cartoon.
Oh,
60s,
yeah.
70s, something like that, right?
early 70s, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
early
Filmation.
70s, right? Yeah.
Because they came out before Masters of the Universe. It was kind of in that same time zone.
Because I mean, the spaceship though that Flash Gordon always had was never like so sophisticated or designed wise, right?
Right.
I mean, it was basically
Very
just a
simplified.
rocket ship. I mean, they
Yeah.
could have made something really simple, had a side door that opened up and let you put a, you know.
Yeah, well, the toy they came out with was just goofy because they basically made a simplified cockpit, and then they had an inflatable piece that
Yep.
represented the ship. It was just, you know, it was like a blow up beach ball. It was
Yep.
like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
It's just.
I
yeah,
love those
it could've
Flash
been
Gordon
better.
figures because I was a big Flash Gordon fan from the movie from the 1980s.
Oh, yeah.
That was just so cool.
It's so classic. It's cool that NECA has started bringing that kind of stuff back.
Yeah, I want to get
you know.
those three figures, especially Voltan, because he was my favorite character from that
I've
movie.
seen those at Target or Walmart, I think.
Yeah,
Right.
I picked up the Pulp Fiction version that they did of like the classic Buster Crab type
yep,
Flash and Ming and the Phantom. So, but yeah, the ones they're doing now that are going to be more like the 80s movie, that's going to be fun. Because, you know, who doesn't love that movie? Plus the
Right.
soundtrack's Queen, you know,
You can't beat
go
the
wrong with
soundtrack,
that.
right?
Oh.
Like I said, I ruined a record from my cousin listening to that
Just playing
soundtrack
it.
so many times. Yeah, And it was in one of those big cabinet stereos, you know, it's like 7 feet long, took up the whole wall of the living room, had like the record player, and then the radio, you had to lift up the thing, and then you tune the radio with a big knob, and it's good stuff. Had an 8-track player in it.
Yeah, it was back in the day when your television was furniture. It would literally had like, you know, big wood console that weighed 1,000 pounds. And
I still laugh because I remember the first time I bought a flat screen, and the newer style ones that are light, right? The newer ones.
Yeah.
I was still married, and our house had gotten robbed, and they took our TV, like a couple of laptops that we had, and some things like that, right? So once I got the insurance money, I was like, I'm going to go get a TV because the kids need, you know, a TV so they can watch their TV in the morning for school. And I backed the car up to the door and went in, opened it up and grabbed the TV out of the back. And my ex-wife's like, "Do you need help with that?" I'm like, "No, this thing's light." And she was just blown away that I could actually carry the TV by myself, because it wasn't, you know, this gigantic thing that needed 7 people to haul it out of the room.
Well, I think one of the funniest things is like back when Jeff Foxworthy, he had started coming out with his, like, you know, comedy routines of like, you might be a redneck if, and he made the joke about like, if your new TV sits on top of your old TV, because again, like growing up, we had one of those big, huge television sets.
All we had when I was a kid was those big cabinet TVs.
Mind you, like the screen itself was not all that big, but the TV itself was massive.
I know. I was talking to someone just recently that 32 inches for a TV screen, we used to be the big screen, 32 inches.
Oh, yeah, that was massive.
A monitor nowadays.
It's a small screen now. Yeah. But then, you know, we had our newer television, which was about the same screen size, because they changed the way they did televisions, and it sat on top of our older one.
The older TV was the gaming TV.
Well, no. My mom killed the older TV, and that's why we didn't use it anymore. We had a problem one year where we got a couple of rats in the house growing up, and my dad used to have his old toy rifle. It was an M1 Garand, full wooden stock and everything like that, and on the back end of it was like this metal plate. And one time the rat was out in the living room or something like that. My mom saw it, and she grabbed that damn toy gun, wailed that thing off like an axe behind the TV. And you guys remember the little RF adapter on the back of the TV? They ripped that shit right off.
I remember going a couple of days at a time, like when our TV would die, my dad would throw it in the truck, take it over to Phil's TV and Appliance.
Oh, yeah.
They'd order a new tube for it, and we'd be without a TV except for the tiny, you know, 12-inch black and white one that we had that was in the extra one.
My wife's
back when you could actually fix stuff, and now it's less expensive to just go buy another one.
Well, it depends, because I just actually had a 55-inch TV that I was fairly new, and I was like, I got this weird line, it's not really working anymore, and now it won't come on. And my brother-in-law was like, "Oh, the LEDs are bad," so he was like, "Oh, I'll mess around with it." I was like, "If it's cheap enough, like, go ahead." And he actually opened it up and he replaced the LED strip in it, and the thing works perfect. It's in my basement now. So
well, I had a big 65-inch Mitsubishi where the internal projection on that, like the way it works is there's like this little thing inside that's got like all these mirrors.
The projection TVs are not.
Over time, what happens is like some of those mirrors end up staying open as opposed to closing, like when they need to. And it was creating what appeared to be like basically dead pixels on the screen. So the guy I got the TV from, he used to work for a TV repair company. They'd come out and they'd fix your TVs, and then, you know, like you get a service plan. And he had to come out and he kept having to replace the bulb in this projector TV. And come to find out, the reason that he had to keep replacing the bulb, the guy eventually bought a new TV, but he was happy with the service, so he kept a service plan on that. And part of the service plan is you haul away the old TV. So the guy took the TV home and was like trying to figure out why the bulbs kept burning out in it. Well, as it turned out, the replacement bulbs that his boss was buying for them to go fix that problem were like these cheap third-party bulbs. So he ordered the bulb directly from Mitsubishi, brought it home, play tested it, basically put it on the game Skyrim, and he was running that thing. He ran it for like over a week straight. Like his girlfriend was playing it 24/7 basically for a week straight, just to see if it would burn up or anything like that. And no, it was working fine. So I bought the thing off of him for like $300.
Sweet.
Yeah, well, it was a free TV to him because he just got to take it home as part of the disposal. He spent like $80 to replace the part, to get the official bulb as opposed to like the 50 that his boss was paying for him. And then I got a hell of a deal for that TV. And it was good for like 5-6 years. And then it eventually had that problem again. But by this time, the guy started working for LG and moved to Tennessee. So he wasn't around for me to be like, hey, I need you to come fix my TV. So I had to get rid of that and ended up getting a newer TV that was smaller screen size, but it was such a better TV.
But now you can walk into Walmart and buy a 60-inch TV for like $350. I mean,
well, I was going to say, like the 55 inches now is like the standard size of the TV.
Yep. So I want to, in my basement on the play side.
You can do the 90.
Well, no, I'm actually trying to convince the wife because we already got a 55. There's this thing on Amazon you could buy that hooks 4 televisions together, and you can do them individuals, or you can hook them together so that they can be one. Like when you go to
one big screen.
The sports bars and stuff, and they have a singular screen for multiples. And I want to do 4 55-inch screens, so you would essentially be 110 by 110, and for football season, be able to watch multiple games if I want to. And it happens to be that I have a really good purview of the TV from Hexastack
Just
headquarters.
happens. It just so happens that way.
That
worked out perfect. What a coincidence!
I want this. I want this on the wall there because it would be really cool.
And I need it bigger because I'm getting older and I can't see very well. Honey.
Oh yeah, my sight's going horribly. I even have.
I've got Cadillacs in my eyes.
That's
right.
Yeah, I even need these glasses. They're like blue light glasses, but they help me see better.
You got the, she's just gonna tell you got to stop by and Joy Toy.
No, stop it. So I'm going to. Are we hanging out for a little while longer, Ed, or are we wrapping up?
Yeah, we're good for a little bit longer.
I'm going to tap out because I need to grab a tasty beverage and eat something. I haven't ate dinner yet.
I actually need to head out myself. I got to start getting wind down for bed and all like that. But it's good hanging with you guys.
Definitely.
I'll see you all.
Thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you guys later.
We'll see you guys tomorrow night on Toy Domination.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I will. I will definitely stream in on that one.
See you guys.
Take it easy.
Have a good night.
See ya.
So, Fire and Ice, Ed?
Fire. Oh yeah.
I have not opened it yet. I've been waiting for the time. My good buddy Cobweb was supposed to wait for me, but he got impatient. So, I told him go ahead and open it. He needed to do his reviews. I don't do reviews. I was just holding off on opening this because it got delayed in shipping and stuff.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, this
How
is gonna
long
go
ago
good
did
with
you
my
get
Savage.
it? I know it was supposed to be originally the 3rd or 9th or something like that.
It showed up on the 18th, I think.
Oh.
It was supposed to be here on the 7th.
Yeah.
It showed up on the 18th. Supposed to be here on the 19th with the second update, but I have not opened it. I have not watched anybody's reviews. I've only seen photos on Instagram and stuff, so I wanted to check this one out. It's the first large-scale figure I've opened in a bit. So. Ooh, I lost something. Oh, his bow and arrow. Oh, that's cool. Ooh, that's gonna break. It's just got the string on it. So it's
Robo did a review on his the other day, and he was farting around with that. It'll hold up.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't pull it back too far, of course, just like
I
love
it already. I love that I did not have to untie any twisties or anything like that to pull the figure out. I hate having to deal with that. That drives me nuts.
The one thing Cobb and Brick noticed is that the one leg, if you move it a lot, the hip gets loose. The right leg, I believe.
Well,
yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
Stretch marks and stuff already. I literally just opened it, and I mean it's been in my house for a week now.
Yeah.
That sucks. For such a pricey figure.
Yeah. I think it's a design flaw. It's their first figure though, so
Yeah. Oh wow, that's actually a really weird crotch piece.
Yep. Yeah, I think they were trying to do something innovative, and it's not working out as innovative as they were hoping it would be.
I'm really surprised. QC didn't like stop that. I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but do you see like
Yeah,
all
you
of
can
the
see-
white?
Yeah, you can see all the white for sure.
Well, do you see on the crotch piece right here how it's
Yep.
like it's a separate piece and the ball and joint are like in there on that. Like that's what that crotch piece is what the ball and the ball for the joint, the socket there is connected to. That's interesting. That sucks.
So that must be one whole piece they insert in there then.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
the
instead of
socket
being
and
like
that.
instead of being two pieces, like the front part of the crotch and the back part of the crotch that like overseams itself, it's actually like there's a piece in the middle here which has the ball sockets on it, which is different. I do think this is cool, which I always love seeing a pinless. Yeah, that looks like it's right at the breaking point. Oh yeah. The figure looks amazing. Like if I wasn't an out of box collector, or I didn't like to play with my toys and I didn't plan to use these on
photographs and stuff.
Well, no, like if I didn't plan to use them with my other Savage Crucible, and like I would let my son play with these with the AWOCs and stuff and whatnot. Like, but that hip is really gonna. I mean, for the price, it really concerns me. I'm hoping that's just like. Where's my phone? I'm hoping that if I look at it a little bit more, give me a second here as well. So I'm looking at it closer. It doesn't look like it's busted.
It doesn't look broken. No,
it doesn't look like it's going to come out, but it's definitely a weak point in which that if too much stuff. But I'm hoping that based on the way it articulates and the way the joint function, that the hip joints like whereas like with the Joy Toys, that piece is kind of mobile.
Yeah.
Like it moves, but the way they have this joint built, the fact that it's actually, the socket, the balls on it are like, it's weird talking about a guy's crotch and talking about the balls, but the
worst things we talked about.
sorry, Thanos. Yeah. Like the thing is that piece doesn't move at all. Like when you're moving the leg for articulation, it's not moving. So you really shouldn't run into any.
Yeah, it shouldn't move because that's what I was saying. That right hip, I think, gets loose on that actual swivel point.
Okay.
Because like they were taking the figure and going like this with it, and the legs were moving back and forth.
You have me on big screen, so I didn't see what you're saying.
Hold on a second. So they were taking like. Cobb was taking his figure and doing this, and you could see the leg actually like swing by itself, right?
Oh yeah, you can see it. I don't think that's because it's weak or anything. I think it's because of this.
The way it's designed.
For me, it's a unique design. Like on the Joy Toys, the you have the rod with the two balls on it. Those things they move. They're pliable, so they can move. So it's a tighter fit around the ball joint.
Yep.
So you don't have to worry about sagging or loose dangling hips. But because the ball joint there, those connectors are fused to the crotch piece, that it's going to stabilize it. And what happens is it likely required the sockets to be looser to be able to be mobile enough to have exactly. So it's a really cool figure. I know it's their first one, but I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm curious. I know that who designed this? Do you know? Was it?
I don't know who actually designed it.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
I'm sure it's somebody they hired individually because.
Okay, so it's not like the Savage Crucible people. I know that there's like a very close association, and they've been showing things on Savage Crucible from these guys. So,
I think they've just been showing each other off because they're both associated with Frazetta, though.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, the face piece is interesting too. How you remove it. I don't know if they showed you that. It's definitely a unique approach.
Robo took the whole head off and then was able to pull the face down and then stick the new face in. So
yeah, it's an interesting approach as opposed to just having a separate full head.
Yeah, a lot of companies are going to these face plates now, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Four Horsemen have a couple out there. A bunch of the
really.
Who the hell is it?
Like the
SH Figure Arts and the guys that make like the Dragon Ball Z characters and stuff are going faceplates and things like that.
That's interesting. I mean, it kind of makes sense to some degree, right?
Well, like
You got
that
all that.
Sun Wukong from Four Horsemen had 4 faceplates.
Oh, I didn't. I never opened it.
Yeah, they just plug
What
into
did
the
I do with
actual
that?
head. You
Oh, I
sold
did that as a give. I give it
Yeah,
away.
you
I
gave
did
it
a giveaway.
Yep, you
I did a
give it away.
giveaway. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. I like the. It's unique. It's different. I haven't seen that or had experience with it.
His axe
neck-
looks pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I haven't even looked at the weapons too much other than what I just saw there. But I mean, for what it is, I think it's perfect. It'll fit my AWOCs and it'll fit with my,
Yeah.
you know.
And I guess from what
Savage
Cobb
Cool.
and Thanos said, the one set of hands has like a 2-finger gap, so you can actually plug like the back end of the arrow in there, and it'll actually look like it's shooting it.
Huh. Yeah, the 2 fingers that are like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I see that. That's cool. Yeah, I will say that I've become accustomed to. I really like the. So I'm not a huge fan of the wrist hinge joints anymore. So like one of the things I like about the Joy Toy, and because I'm falling in love with those things, they have the, it's like a double. It's I don't know what it would be called. Ooh, this is gonna have to take some heating up. I can't just hot swap these like I'm used to. I'm not messing with that one. But yeah.
How are the Joy Toy hands connected?
Let me grab one real quick. So the Joy Toy said this is just from that design of the 118 that I'm really like enjoying is that. So I always got to find the camera here and try to see. So it doesn't use a hinge joint. It uses like a ball and socket.
Yeah. So it's like Mezco. So Mezco, let me bring my Mezco real quick.
Yep.
So Mezco has like on the hand.
Yes, it's very much like the Mezco because I had one of those. I had the guy that comes in a tin with a can of spray paint.
Yeah. So you had one of the hood guys.
Yes. Yep. I had one of those guys.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's got the ball. Yeah, those are nice. I like those.
Yeah, it's a barbell joint is what it would be, I guess, probably because
then you can pivot. You can pivot the hand any way you want to and still articulate it. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. It's a nice design.
And I mean that's 118. I mean, like that's a huge thing. Yep. I don't know, like I'd have to go look, but I'm assuming that the Vala and Classified line, so they have the
they're all hinge.
They're hinge joints and stuff. But it's like it's interesting because for so long I've always been tied to just like one figure line, so I've not done that. Thing. I mean, that's what the other stuff is. But I think the first time I saw it was on these, which is like some model figure, right? So it uses that.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of those third party, like the nude bodies, like Not a Man and Damn Toys, all those nude bodies you can get that are 1/12 scale have those.
Yeah. And like, so like here you can see on this one, you see that crotch right there. It's fused in there. But it's tighter and it's not like a separate bar, which is just really weird. And I mean, I guess these legs kind of, I mean, they're pretty like they don't shake as much, right? No. Like they stay. So they just tried something different with this.
Yeah, it was definitely an innovation they're trying to do.
Yeah, they missed out on that. But this is like a big pinless one, and like that's what I like. I like these like ball joints at the ankles, the ankle rockers, whatever you call them. I don't know. To me, that's, I mean, like if as a figure, like if I can see that and that, I know that, I mean, I assume that goes into the cost and whatnot to some degree somewhere along the lines, and that's probably why you see that expense in the Joy Toy. I don't know the Acid Rain. I don't know what their, articulation is going to be like and such. So
what is that behind you? Is that an RC buggy or is that?
Yeah, it's an RC buggy. I got to sell. I was originally going to get it. And I was going to customize it for,
is it just like one of the cheap ones from Walmart or?
Yeah, I think so. I think I got it for like $10 or something.
Yeah.
Like I got it off eBay or something for like $10. Somebody was used.
Yeah,
it's like
you got to modify all the seats and shit. So
I saw somebody online did something where they modified the bottom, and I was like, oh, that would be cool. Like, and it fit what I was looking for at the time. But then I came up with this Hexastack idea, and it's taken away like all my. I opened earlier the box that I was showing. I pulled open that Four Horsemen. It's that 2-pack. Fat Red. I want a full comparison when you get the Acid Rain fix. Yeah, absolutely, man. I will definitely. I'll definitely do that because the Joy Toy I'm really pleased with, and I've tried the Warhammer ones, and I've tried the. I've now tried basically all of the other lines. They're
So-
Infinity, I think.
Does Fatrid have acid rain? He must not have any acid rain. I know he has Joy Toy, but he must not have any acid rain.
Yeah, I think he has one, but not the other.
Yeah.
But that axe is cool too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. See, and like this guy's gonna fit in perfect with all the Savage Crucible stuff and everything. So, and like he would battle with the AWOCs right now.
Yeah, he'll look good with any of those guys, Mythic Legions, AWOCs.
Yep. Yeah, so he'll be a keeper for sure.
And you got the Savage Crucible for Zeta guy coming in too, right? Because you went all in.
I went all in and got a double on the wave 1. Yeah, I went nuts. And that I blame on Jeremy Jernigan over there from the.
You got to blame somebody for it, right?
Yeah, well, he and I were talking because he was doing the AWOC game stuff there, and he and I were just talking on the side and stuff, and he was being supportive of the Hexastack stuff, giving me some suggestions and things, and I started asking questions about the AWOCs and stuff, and he's like, I was like, how do they fit with the He-Mans that I'm finding on clearance at Walmart and stuff and Target, and like how do they fit with the Savage Crucible? Because I'm really thinking about going in with Savage Crucible. He's like, oh, there's reviews by like D-Mazing or somebody that shows you the comparison. So I looked at those and I was like, oh man, that would be like, and I've talked to you about this whole like concept in my mind of like these, different things that could connect and stuff, and these worlds that
like that whole concept you've been thinking about though, like for me, the 112 scale, 1/6 scale, 118 scale, none of it makes a difference because a lot of the shots that I do are outside, right? Especially when I'm telling stories, I usually take my figures out to the dirt, right? So there's no worrying about like trying to build a world, right? But like for the comic book thing that you talked about doing like forever, right? Since I first started talking to you about, like a graphic novel of just like an action figure comic book, right?
Right.
That would be so much easier to do in 1/18 scale because you could set up an 8x4 table and actually have a pretty decent sized world in that scale.
Yeah, like I mean, across the hall, my son's Ellipse. It's all in for all the waves, and I doubled down on wave 1 to be clear. So,
but that's not only That's Travis. That's not the only Travis craziness that he's got going on. So that's minor.
Yeah. I'll definitely jump on one of the streams here and talk about it because I'm interested in it. And I meant to tell him, I keep forgetting with Largo, I meant to tell him that with the 118, the cool thing about the 118 is the stands. They're built and they're big enough you can fit 2 118 figures on a single stand. Yeah. So that's the other cool thing.
Well, if you get your acid raid by next Tuesday, you can compare them next Tuesday on the show because you'll be on my show next Tuesday.
Let me check right now, dude. I'll check shipping on it because it's coming. Big Bad shipped them. So where are we at? Big Bad. I don't like ordering from them. They're the pain. They take so long to ship.
Oh, I know.
That is where Hella Dope smokes them like crazy, man.
You get your shipping notice from Big Bad, and then it's still 5 days before it actually ships out of the DHL warehouse.
Yep.
And then it sits in Stowe, Ohio for 3 weeks, and then
I don't have that issue. I don't think I've experienced that issue.
I've only had that on one shipment from them, but I think it was like during a bad storm last year or something that was going on.
This could work out, man. It's shipped out of Melrose, Illinois. Sat in Melrose, Illinois, processed, and has tracking for January 30th. So that would be Tuesday. So
yeah.
So definitely tune in. So if you guys want to see that, tune in on Tuesday. I'll be joining Ed on his show. Yep. I think Luke's out this week or whatever. Yep. So I'll jump on, and I know we're going to be definitely talking about the 118th and the world building.
Oh yeah,
all that stuff.
Yep, we're going to do a 118th show, so it'll fit in perfect.
Yeah. So I'll definitely I'll open them. I'll unbox them right on the screen and give my perspective right there. I'll save them for that. I won't even open them earlier, and I got 4 of them, so there are 4 different ones.
How many you planning on trying to get from what's his name? Getting rid of the
Eddie.
Yeah.
So I was talking to him, and he's got a lot of them. I think maybe some of them are older, so they're a little bit more pricey. Like in the secondary market, there's 1, 2, 3. So I sent him the pictures, and I highlighted. He had a motorcycle that I wanted that he doesn't have anymore. So when he sent me the pictures, he was like, "Hey, I think most of this is still available. Not sure, but he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
That's the other nice thing about like the
18.
118 scale is like if you want a motorcycle or a vehicle, there's a lot of options at the
Oh,
store.
I was looking.
Aisle,
I was
even in
looking. There's so much, but there's even 3D printing.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the other thing, right?
Right.
Like,
But I'm saying like for a military vehicle, right? There's so many Jeeps and trucks you can modify or whatever, right? If you want to go on the cheap, right? And then you could go acid rain and go really expensive. And then you also have the option of, taking something and just printing out in 3D easily.
Well, there's this, and I'm trying to pull it up on my screen. Once I get it open, I'll show it to you, because you guys have all seen, anyone who's watched the stream going way back to earlier on, you guys have seen what's in my office here at times. I don't have it up here anymore because I moved it, but there was where is it? Yeah. So
your 3D printed machine that you're building?
Yeah. So there was this one that I started. Well, so actually, what you guys saw partially built there wasn't actually. Yeah, that wasn't this. It was was it? Hold on. Was it this? No,
the one you had originally was the 112 scale one, because I'd seen a guy do a couple builds on it already. The one that you had originally.
Yeah, but
when you first showed it,
what I was showing there was actually, so that was actually the it was the Jurassic Park Jeep that I had found. And I upscaled it to 112 to be for my Vala and classified.
Oh, okay.
But it was huge. Like I didn't even finish the thing. Like I had just gotten the framework in. But this right here, which it's kind of funny because I'll share my screen here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Give me a second here. So it's this one here. You can actually get the 3D files right from these people. I don't remember what the cost is US dollars, but whatever that is, this guy designed it, and it comes with like a cool user guide, like which tells you exactly which pieces to print and like what. I just always thought it was kind of funny because it looks so much like the Resvani.
Oh yeah,
like very similar.
It definitely has a Vanguard look to it.
Yeah. So like what?
But a lot of those armored cars have that same appearance.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Like I like what Bobby did with his and whatnot. So like I would order it if
that kind of looks like a Resvani crossbreeded with a Hummer, the way the front is designed.
Yeah, absolutely. But like this is for the 118 scale, and I have this, so this will likely be something once my printer heaters get all set up and stuff. And
if I don't have orders, does it come with printable wheels, or do you have to buy wheels to put on there?
So it comes with this whole parts list. Yeah, no, like everything. Comes with the rims, the tires. This is all printed.
So can you print the tires in a softer resin so they're more rubber?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Is that your plan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I plan to do it in a different type of resin, but you can do you got the the turret spot up there, and there's a couple different inside setups to it. The way it is.
Yeah,
it's very very similar to like you see the back there with like you can have the loadout be a little bit different. I think this guy's got a little video here where you can see.
Good day, fellow collectors. This is Emma.
Oh, I think this is the guy that I've watched. Yeah, I've watched his. He does these in 1/12 and 1.
So this is the 1/12 scale version because he gives you the instructions on scaling it up, so you can see this in the 1/12.
Yeah,
and like I bought the files from him because I was like, oh, this was like there was no vehicles, right? So I was like, I'll do this, but it's very much like. You can even see he's got his Valver's figures in there, his Joe's. Guys like in the same mindset as the rest of us.
The nice thing about that one is like the way that top is designed.
Yeah,
it's so much easier to get figures in that way.
Oh yeah. Have a removable lid.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like I get why like you might not a commercial vehicle, but it would be from a playability standpoint. It's
for sure. Yeah,
way easier to manage and stuff. But yeah, ooh, what is this?
I'd like to see that in a friggin' like pickup truck style with the bed in the back.
What was that? Sorry.
I said I'd like to see that done like with a bed in the back instead of like the SUV style. Like if you made like just a front cab and then had the
got you.
back part.
Yeah. Sorry, this link
What
here.
were you looking at?
Cool. Looks like I'm not sharing this, but like
Oh yeah, sort of like that. That's like the way the Hummers are designed. With
it
a
looks
half,
like he designed something else too.
yeah, with a halfback. That'd be sweet. That was my favorite. That's kind of Hummer I used to drive with just the front cab and that had the halfback.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to buy this file too and print some of these, brother.
Yeah, dude, that'd be awesome.
Yep. I'm gonna have to go out to his Colts site here or whatever it was, the 3D Colts or whatever. Yeah, random. Yeah, I have I don't have it, but there is
Briscoe says make him 50, Travis.
make me 50. Yeah, so I don't know what the rules on that are, but you're gonna already build those things, man. They ain't gonna be cheap. Yeah, I know that I bought it. He doesn't sell it as a. Hold on one second. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry, the headphones died. I was 1-1. So, yeah, when you download it, it doesn't come with like. I think you can sell it. I think his product when I bought it, I didn't buy I paid $22 for the files, which I mean $22 I can make as many of these Hummers as I want. That's freaking awesome. As far as the windows, I think he recommends using an acrylic, or he might have just used for me what I would do. And this is only something as I've been cutting down all my boxes from all my figures because I'm making these books, like these art books and like notepads and stuff out of them. I have all the stuff down there and just some stuff that I'll have at like con tables and stuff, like using all the packaging from all my figures that I collect, which has cool artwork on it. I'm using those for that. But what I found when I was breaking those down is I started throwing away all that plastic, like especially like the window packaging.
Oh yeah.
Well, this window packaging, and again, I know this is like a known thing to a lot of people, but it's one of those things that I never thought of. I was like, oh, that's like perfect for diorama windows.
Yeah.
So what I would do is likely just clip a piece of that out.
I use so many like when Bobby's figures first came out and they had that like sheet of plastic inside the box that went over the figure. I use so many of those for windows on dios. It wasn't even funny.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is a little bit. This would be like a little bit stronger than that though, like using the harder plastic part because that one was like more of a film, right?
No, not that, not the stretch wrap. He had that other plastic like enclosure that went over top of his original figures that he made.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, so you're talking about the flat one?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Because it was like you're not talking about that film one that was to hold the piece in place between it. You're talking that flat round.
Yeah,
that
just went right over top of everything else. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So this guy in his rules, it would be worth a person buying his own filament and paying a good price to help a man out for this time in his machine. Either of those would be sweet. Oh yeah, dude, definitely. Yep. Like, I think, and it all depends on what you want. So his is an FDM print. All of his files were FDM, so I have an FDM printer, but it's a slower one, and it was like the thing I first started out with. I am looking at getting one of the bamboo ones at some point. I'm finishing off the basement partially, and then I'll have another wall I can put some more racks against and stuff. But I'm going to eventually probably get a bamboo printer.
So how much of that can you print at one time in 1/12 scale? Like the hood compartment, like the front end, or?
Yeah, it was like it's going to be pieces by piece, and it's going to take days to print. Like with one single printer and the one that I have, and it would take days. Like when I was printing that Jurassic Park file that I had, it would take me 36 hours to print a section. Like if you think of like the whole, like just the frame being 4 different pieces, it took like 36 hours to do it. The one that I have here is, what does it say?
30 pieces is basically a model kit.
I think he says it in his picture here or something, in his instructions or something. He tells you it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, there's quite a few. I'm not even gonna count them anymore. There's just way too many. Yeah, there's a lot of pieces. But if I was doing this in resin and I could get this to print in the resin printer, and I know I can print it in mine because I have the larger ones. When I first got this file, I only had the Mars one, which is a very small, like you only have a vat that's like that big to print out of. Like, and I was only printing 12-inch, the 112 scale. For my purposes now, I wouldn't even bother. Like, to me, it wouldn't even be worth printing these like Joes and stuff anymore. I would likely just focus on printing for the 118, and I could definitely do, the tie. I should be able to do most of the things in here, and a lot of them are smaller parts. And this new technique that I've been looking at and studying on and trying to play around with is you can actually, if you think of like, example, Warhammer figures or any of those very small scale tabletop games that people use, like when you buy those kits and stuff, the figures come attached to like those the
sprue trees.
Yeah, so they come attached to the sprue trees. I've watched some guys on YouTube and stuff that actually do 3D printing, and what they do is Ateco Toys actually has a tutorial on how to do it. So you can do the sprue trees, and you can put all your parts on that, and then you can, instead of laying the parts flat and doing, one that would be done in, a couple hours, you can now put them on the sprue trees and you turn them upright. And, I've got a tower, this tall, like that can do, prints, and I can line them up and do 6, 7 of them across over the course of 6 hours. And I can print out a bunch of these sprue trees kits and do it that way. So if I was going to do that, that's what I would do. And I would continue working on my sprue tree skills and see if I can get something together for all the parts and do it that way. But if I remember correctly, like this came with like it was kind of like a pseudo in the instructions. Don't sell this without giving me credit. And if you do want to sell this and you're doing this in a larger thing, reach out to me, let me know. And if you could throw me some bones for it, when you are selling it, I appreciate it. He wasn't selling it with like an official, like commercial license, but he's got like 17 files. And actually, check this out. I haven't been on here in a while. He's actually got quite a bit of product out here, it looks like.
So that thing can't be that. I mean, it's probably big in 118 scale, but not that big, right? I mean, you figure the Resvani's what, like 19 or 20 inches long, I think.
Did I share my screen or no?
Yeah, you did. Hold on, I gotta click it.
Oh, okay. There we go. Cool.
Oh, that's sweet, dude.
It's got like this killer bee drone thing here, so it's like a single person.
That is awesome, dude. Wait, go back to that. That is awesome. I love that thing.
So he's designing some cool stuff out here, but like this little, like for me, I'm like, man, I'll just print some of this. Like I'll buy this off him and print some of these off for my things up. And he looks like he's even got a setup so you can convert it to I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
It's a plane/car. I did not realize
it's a mask vehicle.
Oh, is it?
No, I'm saying it could be like a mask from the 80s. Oh, that looks like a vamp down there that he's got.
Yeah, this GP vamp is what he calls it. Yep. So he's got a couple different ones here. So he's putting some cool stuff out. Racks and stuff. So like all sorts of world building opportunity here with vehicles and stuff. Yeah. And his is all FDM. So you do see some of the lines and stuff with the resin printing. You definitely would get away from having a lot of those imperfections with it. But yeah, so this comes with 3 different variants. Awesome in 18, glorious in 112. So so I haven't followed his stuff in over a year. So he's definitely been expanding what his offerings are. You can see he's got a couple different ones. He's even got like a command center here, which is completely free. So grab that because I'll be using that at some point.
Hell yeah, dude! I need that for my legal.
I know you were asking about that. So I told you
right there, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So
what was that? Go back to his thing. Is that a mech he's got?
Yeah, it looks like it. There's a couple other things. Looks like he's got like a Batmobile. This is like 1/50th scale, but yeah. So here, I always forget if I click on the link. So this is the one that you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
So here's the thing. I'm likely going to buy this. I'm going to make this. And I'm going to print this, and I'm going to print the other one, so I can have them both side by side rolling up with my stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, like that's cool. Those are really cool.
Yeah, that is awesome.
So for the civilian combat F5 model to be used as reference for shared parts.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, this guy does some cool stuff, and then he's got the mech here, I think.
That little yellow hovercraft thing would be sweet in a world building thing, because you could have like 2 or 3 of them and have one flying, one halfway transformed, and then one on the ground, dude. Just like coming at you in a team. That'd be sweet. Print them off in like a green a camo color or something, black.
I would
gray.
So
paint them up in gray. I mean,
that's Yeah, I would print them in like the gray, just because I have a lot of that gray resin and stuff. But I would print like the wheels in black, and I would.
But I mean, like
the
at the color wise, make them look real combat military, like not or space theory theme, not yellow.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like I actually have a bunch of white resin that I need to use and dispose of. I would likely probably try some of the dyes, see if I could use like a dye to get like a charcoal gray or something.
Yeah.
For it. But yeah, this is, and what's he charge? $8,625. I don't know what that converts to in US dollars, but I'm never good with that stuff.
Where is he out of?
So it's like $680.
He's probably out of England, right?
I don't even know, but it's like $6.80 to buy that file.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got some cool, like I said, he's got some cool stuff. But yeah, and you could find all sorts of that's the great thing, right? With the world building with 118.
That's what I was saying. Like you could build, a couple of decent structures in 1/18th, printed and foam, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
piece it all together.
Absolutely. Like you type in 1/18 scale in here, and you get all sorts of things that come up and stuff, and it's got all sorts of world building things, just a pile of rocks. You type in 1/18 scale, or what I found is if you actually type in Joy Toy, you'll find that there's already some Joy Toy medical centers, because Joy Toy has their set, right? They have their own world building features and stuff. So people have gone through and, extended out some different features and stuff like that, whatever this is. So, and then you can see like the barriers. And
the barriers are cool. Yeah.
Barrels. Drums. Oh, they have this because of the acid rain Jeep, right? Because remember that Jeep I was showing you?
Yeah.
That was on sale or whatever. Like they give you the tow mechanism so you can tow.
Oh, nice.
And all that stuff. So they've got some really cool stuff there. Heads and stuff. And with the heads and stuff, as I explained to you, I have my scanner. So like I can scan someone's head. I can put them on a, 1/18 scale figure, no problem. So some really cool stuff to do with the world building. But yeah, it's that one. Going back to what I was saying when I first started, talking about it, is that like I first got into the scale stuff because I love the real scale balance, right? Like to me, it's always about having that scale, right? Without the scaling, it's like they're just toys, and I'm not a fan of that. Like I know that, and this is, there's a lot of the Motu folks, right? I can't get into those like old school Motus because like everyone's the same size. Yes, some are more jacked looking than others, but like, the characters are the same size. It was
essentially the same buck. I mean, the same thing like with Real American Hero. They were all basically the same. But that's how toys were made back then, right? I mean, very few lines had a lot of diversity in them.
Right. And that was, I always struggled that, like, I guess it's imaginative piece, right? Like I couldn't get past that barrier of these two guys are distinctively different sizes in the cartoons and in that. And when I'm playing in the perspective here, it doesn't work for me. So I really struggled with that. I forced myself through it when I was pretending they were all wrestlers because it's all I had. But, once I saw Mattel,
I never had that problem, but like, as a kid, when I played, none of my play stuff was related to the actual property, right? I mean, like, even when I had like specific characters like Indiana Jones, he was never tied to just being Indiana Jones. Some days he'd be a cowboy, other days he'd be, whoever, right? It was just.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know that I ever did that. I guess I everything was wrestling for me.
Yeah.
But like, that's just really what it was. That all comes down to that. But like when I got to the point where, my older one was, still like 7-8 years old. Yeah. And, those WWE figures were, to scale. When I saw that, I was just like, this is game changer for me.
Well, it's like everybody like it's cool that Bobby puts the file card on the back of the Valaverse things, right? Because that's nostalgic. But like for me, it doesn't matter because the dude's never going to be that guy's name. He's never going to be, that story. So it doesn't matter to me, right? Just like everybody, like with AWOC's, like, oh, you should read the comic. It's great. Yeah, the comic's great. But for me, the comic is the comic and the toys are the toys. It doesn't matter that, Thane is Thane or Atreyu is Atreyu. For me, whatever he does in my world is what he does in my world.
Oh yeah, no, so I can see that. I like so like with Bobby's stuff, the reason I got into Valaverse was because I found the classifieds. There weren't that many of them. There was only a handful of types out. They hadn't really explored into the army builder stuff yet. And like the ones that they did were very, generic, and they didn't have any good guy army builders, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with Fat Red right there. The thing is that like when I found his stuff, I was like, oh, this is great. I love the fact that you got army builders and stuff. But then I do like some of his unique characters, right? Like, what's the one guy's name? I always forget him. He's the most badass dude they have.
Carrick or Bone Collector?
Oh, so I love Carrick.
Oh.
Bone Collector, I'm not a huge I like him, but I'm not like Carrick, Bone Collector. But it's actually one of the good guys. Trigger, is it Trigger?
Trigger, yeah, Trigger's the most.
He looks like the typical Iraqi,
he's definitely a special forces,
He looks like some mercenary guy that we were sent over there from Blackwater or whatever, and he was just working over there. So like he looks cool, but and don't get me wrong, I think those are cool, and I love the comics, and I love the story. California's falling off the earth, and things like that. Like it's really cool to me because it gives me that resemblance of like the Jericho TV show that was on years and years ago, where cool. It was a great show, ended way too soon.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that was always like kind of like in the back of my mind is like this is a cool story, but like how can you expand on it with your own? And to me, it was like, well, there's the Joes. They're not gonna Duke was never going to be Duke in my world. Or maybe if he did maintain the name Duke, it wasn't Duke from G.I. Joe's.
Right.
The only reason I might ever perceive that if I was telling my own story was because they did get the Slaughter in there. So you could kind of cross it over in that sense. But, largely, I was popping off, Eternal Marvel Legends heads and, other heads and whatnot. And you got that whole, I sent you that whole bag of heads, right? Like a bunch of those were printed with the intention on putting some of those on, some of the valid, army builders and stuff, just to expand the world.
Yeah. Like Radnom says, he just made teams, and I would do that. Like I would make, my dad would get a box of something. I'd take the box and make like a fort out of the box. Right. I'd cut the flaps off, and my dad would help me tape or glue the flaps in his floors. And then I'd have like Obi-Wan Kenobi, because he was an old dude with a beard. He was just automatically like the king or whatever. Right. And then I have like a troop of like guys going after to assassinate him or whatever.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
They have to get into the base. And
yeah, I remember being a kid just taking like blankets, laying them like around and twirling them in circles, making like caves and stuff and things like that and whatnot with the Joes.
When I used to have before. My mom used to get so mad because like when they got some, I remember I was young, right? And I had the original Eagle Force, which those figures were 2 3/4 inches tall, right? So they were really small. Wow. And so the Jeep, of course, was really small. And they got a new carpet put in the living room, and it was like a brownish gray color, right? It looked like a road, like that color. And there was a strip that was about 6 inches wide, maybe. I had that like hanging all over my room, from like bedpost to the dresser. And it was just like a high level bridge. The Jeep would run on that. The Eagle Force would be shooting off of that shit. And it was,
Yeah. And that's really what's pulled me to the point where I'm starting to move away from the 112 scale. I love the 112 scale because it's what I started in love with, and I'll never move away. Part of me wishes the WWE figures were a little bit smaller in the 118 scale because I feel like it would be so much easier to collect them for space and then the world building aspect. And I love that Classified and those guys are able to do the world building, but and I've got a fairly large space here in my house. I think my house is in total, 4,000 square foot. So I've got plenty of space, and like my 20-year-old think about moving out. That's going to give me a 14 by 16 rectangle space across the hall, that if one of my other kids doesn't move into that and I don't get his the 12 by 14 room over here, I'll have I've got plenty of space for it. But that's it's still with all the stuff, it's it's a lot of space.
I have that one WWE Slambulance, right? That's the one.
That's big
vehicle that I have, right? It takes up a whole shelf. So I mean, if you're gonna world build and try to create like a big dial, you got to have a shit ton of room. Like with 1/18 scale, like I said, you could take a 4x8 sheet of plywood and make it into a decent, whole city kind of setup, right?
Well,
Or at least a street scene, right? That was decent size to, have a good setup in there.
yeah. Well, like, perfect example is if that Dom's channel, right? If you've not watched his stuff, check it out.
I watched it in the past. I haven't watched it in a while.
Okay, yeah, he's got this 4-level building that's like a spaceship or something he refers to, and I haven't watched it enough to know everything about it, but it's like all these intricate rooms and things like that, and like the way he's got set up is really cool. But like for me, I'm more, again, it all goes back to Hexastack, the modularity, right? Like,
Yep.
And this is probably where some of the Hexastack stuff came from, is that like I started with where is it? I think it's in this book here, right? Like when I got my action figures and stuff with Joe's and stuff, I want to do that comic thing I told you about, right? So I started sketching things out, right? Like, okay, this is what I want. I want this like fort, and I want to build this. And I wanted to do it in a way that I could like almost like I had key features in each piece, and very much like Radnon does with the whatever this blue board stuff is. I can't think of it. The insulation backing board.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I started getting that stuff, and I've got the Proxon cutter and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, I want to do it in a way that every piece can be modular. They're all magnetic. They're all going to connect to one another. And I'm going to be able to do this where I can break it down.
Yeah.
And like when I design a scene that I want to capture, thanks, Barrett. I'm not a good artist, man. Like it's all like just real chicken scratch sketches. You should see the patent files that I sent into my patent office for the Hexastack stands that I sent them. They're like, do you have any digital? I was like, oh, I got the digital files already. Can I just send those? They're like, oh yeah, that's a lot easier than looking at your chicken scratch. So I was like, oh yeah, we could do that. But granted, the chicken scratch came because when I was in August in PowerCon, having met with Ace and talking to folks and stuff, and just seeing what folks were saying and the feedback, I went back to my hotel that night and I was like sketching out like exactly what I wanted the upgraded, magnetic connectors and stuff to look like. So my sketches suck, but my whole idea was to have this sketchbooks, and every page, like every dio that I had would reference like an inventory board. So like one wall would be wall 1A, so that I knew if I needed to reset up that dial for a shot later on, I could just be like, oh, what scene pieces
one of the
do
biggest
I need?
problems I have when I build dials is I get going so fast because I just want to build it that I never make a modular. And then when I get done, I'm like, oh, I should have made this so this connected here, because that way I could collapse it, So now I just have these huge fucking diodes all over.
See, and to me, it goes to the modularity and the compression and being able to do that. And it probably goes to the fact that I know my wife would freaking kill me if I was building diodes and I was leaving them up. So, for me, it was more about that idea of wanting to build these scenes for the story I wanted to tell. And with the 1/12 scale, it's like, oh, it's so cool, but it's so freaking big. Yeah. So having the ability to, storyboard out what I want. First, it was design. So my sense, Farad, was that I wanted to design the facilities or the scenes that I plan to have. And then once I had the scene, it would be storyboarding.
Yeah, because like if you built those dials right, you could make like, some different areas and then have rooms that attach to different rooms to make a completely different building.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? I think I moved it all downstairs when oh no, here it is. Yeah, so I've got these and all my paint markers, and then all my...
So have you even taken your Proxon out of the box yet?
Yeah, Proxon's out of the box because I started building that He-Man thing before I came with Hexastack, right? I was kind of using that as my practice. Yeah. But as Farad was saying, right, going to storyboards, so this is all something I had begun doing. Or I didn't begin doing it, but like I got a book here, literally, that's a blank storybooks book that I was going to use to map out all of the scenes once I went through the process of... Because I'm very plan oriented, right? Like I like organization. And to me, it was like, what I want to do is I want an inventory of all the facilities, or, at least because there's a story and there's like the first portions of the story that I want to tell with using these. And I had this idea and I was like, okay, I need this scene. And some of it was going to be outside, like the log cabin. I was going to have to use some of the outside world because to build that in-house would take up so much room. So in my mind, I have 2 acres here at my house, and I've got about an acre that is like fully wooded, and it's got that old school at the back end of the property lot. It's got all those boulders and rocks, to separate the property markers. And, back there, there's just paths, and I have so much space back there that I could bring my thing back there and set it up. And, that was my plan, but I wanted to have a scene. So it'd be inventoried scene. And then I was going to go through the storyboard and I was going to story it out. And then I would be able to
take
do
out
all
your
the
100
pictures.
shots or whatever. And then,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I got a laser cutter too, laser engraver. That's cool. Yeah. I'll look forward to seeing that stuff, dude. Like
he's got a couple of the custom like robot droid type things that he created on his IG. It's pretty cool.
Is he on Instagram?
Yeah, he's under Fat Red.
Fat Red, you've been friends with me for how long, man? Or how we've been talking? We've been talking on chats for months now.
Yeah.
And
he's been building a 1/18 scale storage container, like like that you put on the shipping container.
I guess he's following me. I just didn't follow him back. I'm sorry, dude.
I think he just went on because he asked you if you had your Instagram.
Gotcha.
Remember?
Okay.
He's got that really cool like sci-fi door.
Oh man,
thing I can't remember what the hell it's called.
Those are cool, dude.
Yeah.
Are these?
Yeah, he just followed.
Awesome, dude. Thank you. Are these the droid things that you posted the other day? Like, what is the base that you're using for those? That's cool. Oh, shipping container. That's really cool. Yeah, I've seen that. I was going to do one, but I was just going to print it for my 3D printer because there's a bunch of files out there and stuff. Oh, hey, he's watching the you shared that video right there for Carbon Snow. Yeah, I saw that, dude. That was
that Carbon Snow video is awesome.
So that's Dom.
Yeah. Oh, that's Dom?
Yeah, that's Dom. That's the video I was talking about. Yeah. Those are light. That's a smart move, man. I wouldn't even have realized that those were light year figures. But that's interesting that you say that because in my mind, well, the reason I stumbled across the Dominator stuff today and was watching some of his streams trying to see what he had done with his world building was because I was trying to get an idea of like what are some, knowing at what we've been talking about, stuff like for the world building aspect and stuff. I was like, is there anything out there that I can use to kind of like prototype and come up with like a design for something that I want? And I was like, I wonder if any of those on sale like Buzz Lightyear movie ships and stuff would work well with the with the 1/18 scale. I know they wouldn't necessarily work with the larger ones, but I was wondering if they would work with those.
There are actually the Lightyear toys had a bunch of cool toys for 1/18 scale that would work and 1/12 scale that would work.
Oh,
just
really?
Because of the way they were designed, because some of those figures are like 5-inch, but they were big 5-inch because the way Buzz Lightyear's suit is designed, right? So he had to be a bigger figure.
So I want to build like and customize and make a spaceship essentially, right? Like a smaller spaceship, but like one that's not just where you put 1 or 2 guys into it, but one where like it's a functional kind of like better than the Millennium Falcon type thing. Like when we were kids or when I was a kid that had the Millennium Falcon where it just like the one piece came off and you had the big open space and then you just had the same, like I would want something. And then I'm torn is like, am I trying to like envision like a toy that you could put that stuff in, or am I?
Well, that's what I was showing you. Like,
better just do a die out,
right? That sub would be awesome, right?
Yeah.
If you can make that sub, make it bigger or whatever, right? Because it's probably really skinny. I couldn't really tell from the way it was in the box.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was probably like 15 inches long, but like it had like 6 windows along the back, so you could put 2 people in the cockpit and then put one of the sharks inside the actual thing. But like, imagine something like that where you could take the lid off, right? And so you could have it as a space station, or
Right.
as a spaceship itself, right? And you really wouldn't be able need to fly it anywhere. You just, in your imagination or whatever, in your pictures,
Yeah.
you make it so it's flying, right?
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, that would be cool.
That's
I
awesome,
was
Fat
looking
Red
at
Foo. You were
it.
Fat Red's 100th follower.
Sweet. Dude, he's got some cool trees and stuff too, man. Like,
Yeah, he did
some of
that.
the
Wolf
stuff.
Dio is based off a lady that he knows artwork, and then he built that
Okay.
Dio based off her artwork. It's
That's
got
really cool.
werewolves in it, or gonna have werewolves in
He's
it.
got like Oilers, you and
Yeah.
Random all tagged in this.
Yep.
Where's like an actual spaceship that goes to space, tries to order. I'm just gonna build it myself, Random.
Yeah, he's a dark matter converter online. There you go.
Yep.
Well, when Travis disappears, it's because he got too far off into the dark web ordering stuff that he shouldn't be ordering.
Oh man.
FBI
That's
and
cool.
CIA showed up at his house. Son, what have you been doing? I'm just building a world in 1/18 scale. Don't worry about it.
No, Fat Red, that stuff's awesome. And Random, you're good, dude. I know you're saying what I've heard from 20 years of my wife. And like my best friend gives me a hard time all the time. And I actually check in with him like every couple days. He works with me at the company I'm at, and I check in with him every couple days because he's like one of those. He's a real dude. He's one of those guys that's a real friend. He's not going to tell you if it's good, if it sucks, and he's not going to tell you. He's not going to sugarcoat things, right? He's not Willy Wonka, as they say, right? He's not sugarcoating shit. So he'll tell me when I'm messing up or something. And he's somebody who I always, just check in with on a weekly basis. And he's like, dude, how's Hexastat coming? You pushing it? And I'm like, yes, I'm working on this. And he's like, okay, keep going. I was like, oh, but I have this thing. And he's like, Travis, that's a great idea. Put it in the backlog, but focus on this. He's like, you got something, just stick with it. So that's why all this other stuff's still in the drawer and I'm not touching it. There's so many things I want to do. Like hell, Random. I messaged a couple weeks ago on one of your videos where I was like, hey, have you ever thought about putting out a list of materials that you need to do, like the dial construction that you're doing that night, so people can follow along and try it at the same time? Well, the reason I said that is because I want to do that.
Yeah.
I just
well, it's good timing too, because Radnam just came out with asked everybody to give him ideas of training, like instructional videos.
Oh, did he?
That he could come up with, because those do really well for him on YouTube and Instagram.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yep. Yeah, I feel like the informational stuff is going to be like, teaching people and stuff is going to be a huge draw for people, especially like somebody like Random that has such a.
There you go. Build a flux capacitor. Have a real life time machine.
That's what I need, man. I just need to go forward. Just need to go forward in time. Yep. Like figure out what they're doing. But yeah, no, man. Like that's cool. Fat Red. Now, where are you out of?
He is in Montana.
Oh, okay, man, living it up out there. Probably got a ton of land around you. That's awesome.
Yeah, Fat Red's a good dude. I met him on Radnom's Friday night chill stream.
Okay. So. And then he's been popping through on all the regular. He's part of that. He's part of that toy lead, as I refer to it, right?
Oh,
like he's one of those guys
now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. There's one guy that I found on Instagram with the Joy toy that I've been following, and he looks like he does some custom stuff. And actually, I think there might be at some point you might start to see 1/12 Joy toys coming in. Like I know they have some stuff, but I think you might start to see more. And I know
that seems to be the way these companies are going, right? A lot of the 1/12 guys are going to, making 1/18 to go along with their 1/12, and a lot of the 1/18 they're going to 1/12, and
even Valaverse, right? Like, didn't he announce last year at like Joe Fest or one of the Valifec Fair or whatever that they were talking about doing some other supplemental, smaller, more youth centric?
Well, he did that because he made that desert guy he did the Tony figure in the Palace Toy version.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, he's talking to me. What did Fat Red say? Oh, sorry, I didn't see it.
What did he say?
Congrats, Fat Red. The tree dial isn't complete yet, and I started working on the wolf prototype yesterday. Yeah. It's good to have a friend that is really. Oh. Yeah, no, Random, you're doing some cool stuff, dude. I really do. Yeah. That's why I said, hey, do you have a follow along? Because I'm sure I would enjoy. Yeah.
Well, the nice thing is being able to 3D print, and if you can incorporate that into also building with foam, your possibilities are endless.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
well, that's like Vasco Toys. I don't know if you've seen his stuff.
Yeah, I
I've
follow
he's
him on
like
it.
one of the first. He was one of the first people that brought me into the foam and stuff, because I always wondered how people did these diodes and stuff. I'm like, they're so cool, and I came across this stuff and I was like, oh, because for example, 10. It's got to been almost 15 years ago. Maybe it's 14 years ago, 13 years ago now, when I got into the WWE, elites and that Mattel scale stuff. I was building everything out of freaking 2x4s. Like the entire arena was 2x4s. The platform was like a 4x8 piece of not sheetrock, plywood.
Yep.
3/4 inch plywood. The thing was freaking heavy. It was
Yeah.
a freaking beast to move around every time I pull it down. And then I was like trying to cut
Yep.
it down. If I had known about this styrofoam board and stuff, I would have made that. I still have it. I wouldn't have gotten rid of it because it was so freaking heavy.
Yeah.
At one point it went in and
I
became
know.
firewood.
I made back in the day when I had 10, 15 years ago, I made several house structures out of actual plywood. It was 1/2 inch, but I mean, they were like, some, because it was for 1/6 scale, right? So some of them were
okay.
like, 3 feet tall house built, just
That's
huge things, right?
crazy.
Now it was just framed because I was just using the
Right.
exterior for backdrops
Right.
and stuff. And I had a shit ton of land, right? And they were built out of wood and painted, so I just left them outside. But in the winter, I'd pick them up and move them into the shed. What a pain in the fucking dick that was,
man.
So
Yeah.
at one time, we had started having more kids, and the ex-wife was like, "We don't have any room for this stuff. We need the shed for storage." And I'm like, "Fine."
Yep.
So I had a big
Basically.
bonfire, burned a bunch of them up. It was like, fuck it.
We were in the townhouse, and my youngest was born, and my oldest was still playing with the toys with me and stuff, and that's when I built him the arena, and I used the garage. We didn't park in the garage just because the apartment we were in, that vented the dryer into it, so you didn't want to park your cars in there. But I put up the arena. I had some sawhorses, and I had like a, the thing was monstrous, man. It was it was like 6 foot by 4 foot wide piece, and I had basically the platform for the entire arena was sitting on the sawhorses. And then we'd have a table next to it, like one of the folding tables that had all his toys and stuff on it. So and then the ring I built was in the middle of it, and he's climbing on it, just playing with it. And like he had the ramp and everything for I'm like, when I say he had an arena, we had an entire arena. Right. And then the cool thing was, when I moved into my house, the first house we owned, the basement, there was an older guy who had passed away just before they sold the house. And his basement, he was big into like radio and stuff like that. And he did a lot of mechanical stuff like with the house and things like that. There was this large square table, like almost like a drafting table in the basement, but it was something he made out of hand. And it had to have been, I want to say it had to have been 6 foot by 6 foot square. It kind of reminded me if you walked into somebody's house in their basement and they had a train, like a model train setup. Yep. It was like one of those train tables, and it was in the basement. It was right there. I was like, well, as soon as we bought the house and that was left behind, I told my wife, I was like, that's where the arena's going. So that's where we set the arena up. I bought a couple stools, like those little metal stools you get from Walmart for like $30.
Yep.
Had a couple stools on it. We had drawers underneath so you could pull all the figures out. And
you probably used it as a woodworking bench or something.
Might have been, yeah. I mean, he had like a clamp thing on the back corner. He had electrical run to it, so like there was outlets.
As an awesome workbench.
Oh yeah, and then right behind me there was an entire workbench that he had built. Like it had drawers and cabinets, and it had like the pegboard behind it. So that ended up being my crafting area where I would like paint custom wrestlers and do things like that. Did some custom McFarlane sports figures and stuff. When he was younger.
When I was still married, in our garage, I had like my man cave was out in the garage. I had an actual workbench where I did like my painting and my flocking. And then I had a table that was set up for like the stuff that was customizing that wasn't a mess. Like, I was doing six scale. So like putting different uniforms on and shit like that, or like taking pictures and stuff like that. Right. But I actually took an island out of our kitchen and ended up using that because it was like 4 foot long and like 3 feet wide. So it was perfect,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. But like, and I wish I had gotten into the 118 before I got into all this. Because I mean, I got.
Oh, dude, the problem is, it's like
you can see his tank right there.
Right? We've been fucking talking. It's like I got so much fucking invested in 1/12. I have a ton of 1/6 scale stuff still in storage, and it's like, I mean, I like the 118 too because of all the world building, and now it's like I'm shifting towards some 118 scale. It's like
the only The only thing that's the only thing that's one I'm not sure I want to get rid of is because I don't know if my little guy wants them still to play with, because he actually for his birthday got a couple Joes for his birthday from people, so like he's got some of his own now, and he's got all his Power Rangers and he plays with all that 12-inch, the 112 scale stuff. So I don't know if I'm going to get rid of it because he's going to want to use them. But like, and the other part is I will keep some, because like I was talking to Adam and stuff with the conventions coming up and stuff, and want to bring Hexastack. I will keep some that I'll designate with
For sure.
classified, some Joe or some Action Force.
That's like me. I have some Valiverse, some Joes and stuff here that are actually stuff that are Luke's, right? We bought them together, or I bought them for him, or whatever. And like what you were saying about your son playing, right? Like Luke will still come over. I mean, he's 18 years old, and he'll still come over, and I'll be in the kitchen. And my kitchen and living room are basically one big room, just separated by a counter. And I'll be cooking, and he'll sit over here and get into my weapons and accessories box. Next thing I know, he's
just kind of just toying around. Not necessarily on the floor telling a whole story or anything, but he's sitting there kind of just, like it's what I do with these guys at my desk while I'm working all day is I'll grab them and I'll move the arms.
That's why I did that whole thing with that I was doing when I was working at the last job that I actually went into the office for. I have my desktop figures that I do every day, because I was sitting at work on a computer and a phone. I was just tinkering around with my action figures all day, snapping pictures on my phone.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, that's a cool pose. Let's set that up, take a picture.
Yep. So that's and the other thing is the displaying aspect. I don't know that 1/18 will satisfy the displaying on the shelves and stuff as much, because they are so much smaller.
Yeah, they definitely don't. Like I have a couple of Eagle Force figures and a couple of like the whatever those ones for the dollar store were the Final Faction figures, right?
Yep.
And I have this one spot on my shelf, because my shelf that I use is like overlapped like this, so it's staggered. Yep. And then they overlap like this, so this gap's only like 5 inches tall, so the 6-inch figures don't fit. So I have the 4-inch figures in there, right? And they look good in that spot, but when you stand back, you could barely see them, right?
That's the part for me. Like I like to because I don't get on the floor and play with them. The 1/18 will work great for the world building, but I think what's going to end up happening is I'm probably going to piece through these. I'm going to find the ones that I really want to keep. Yep. There's going to be a bucket of ones that aren't worth much that I'm going to end up the ones that were clearance stuff at Targets and things like that over time. Your Outbacks and your things like that, and like some of the generic army builders, those will all probably end up becoming, that'll get boxed up for the conventions, and they'll just stay in the convention box so that I can, bring those to shows and put them on Hexastack. And then,
because you're going to have, especially for like Joe Fest, like say you went to Joe Fest next year and showed Hexastack off, right? You're going to want to have more Joe centric, figures, right? Yeah. Whereas when you go to Legion's Con, you can have pretty much anything, right?
Legion's Con, from what I understand, it's very Legion specific.
Right, but I'm saying like especially you like this year you get a lot of wrestlers, right, and superheroes. So next year, when you go, you're going to want to have AWOC and Legions and Savage Crucible.
Oh
and,
yeah.
Those type of figures, right? So you're going to want to have a good variety of figures that you can
exactly. That's why I say like I'll probably move some of my Cosmics and move on from them, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to piece through the Cosmics that I do have and which ones I like, which ones I can set up a nice Dio setup on the 1/18 head sculpts. Hit me up, Briscoe. It depends on what you're looking for, but I've got a lot of 1/18. I've got a lot of head scales that I could 3D print. There's a lot of people out there that do it though too. So, if you're looking for something specific, let me know. I may already have it. I'll throw some your way.
Does Joy Toy sell their head sculpts separately on their website?
I have not seen them.
No, I know Eagle Force has a couple of them, but most of the heads that they sell are like the army builder heads. So they're like guys in helmets and things like that. They're not the actual character heads, right? So,
Is Fat Red, you looking for something?
Looks like it. I don't know if that's really to you or to me. Probably to you.
Okay. Well, there's this thing that I have. It's a 3D scanner. So like I can take this thing and go all the way around my head, and I can scan myself and make an action figure head. And then I can just scale it down to the respective scale that it's needed to be. Yep. And then I have 3D files that I've gathered over the last couple years that I like and whatnot that I would, you know, when I'm running a batch and stuff, I would drop those. I don't have a catalog though. No, I mean, we can talk offline and I'll show you what I have.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you're looking for. Like all the stuff that I have right now is 1/12 scale, but it can be scaled down to like.
I have a bag of the heads, and there's a lot of cool different heads in there.
Yeah,
so.
there's some cool ones in there, like Deadpool, Red Hood. You know,
yeah, you had the Cobra Commander head.
Yep, the Cobra Commander. You know,
hooded
head,
the band head.
Yeah, the band head. There's I got so many of them that I've got.
Got a couple of females.
Radnam. Why you gotta ask if I actually use the crap that I buy? Didn't you tell me I'm only supposed to work with one tool at a time? I actually cleaned up my office and stuff and whatnot and got things situated so that I can start doing some of that stuff.
Have you tried the scanner out yet? Like scanned a product, like just a thing or whatever yet?
Yeah, I did scan one thing. I scanned the Undertaker figure that I got. I just had it here.
Yeah.
And I just had it on a turntable. I just wanted to see how it worked. I set it there. Some things that I learned that you have to do. I was watching some tutorial videos. Like somebody took like their Jordans, and what they did was they scanned their Jordans, and then what they did was they scanned the bottom and the tops and the side, and they made this whole file. And then there's some files that compresses it and uses some way to link the, like, you know, if you scanned it from here, where's an example? Like if I scan the top of something and then I scan the sides of it, and then there's a way to merge it to one singular file, and it like lines it all up, and then you have a 3D model of that shoe. And I watched the guy create the shoe out of it. Nice. And then he can use that file both to print it and use it, like you can gore out the hole. So like if you know like the ball joint that's on like one of these, you could make that Nike and put it right on the bottom of the leg.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Radnam, the legitimacy between your question. Yeah. So I only scanned the Undertaker figure that I have up top over there or over here. And it was like the retro Goobly Gooker Ultimate one. And I just kind of scanned him just to see how it worked. And it worked pretty good. I only did like maybe a 10-minute scan of it. I just kept letting it spin and kept catching it. There was like a spot up at the top of the head that was like missed because of the angle of the scan. But again, going back to what I was telling Ed there, is that what I would do is I would just follow the instructions with what they said and kind of like just angle from another angle and then merge that file to make one seamless.
Well, that's how Gentle Giant used to make their like statues and stuff. You know Gentle Giant? No. They're actually like a high-end like toy company. Okay. And they're the ones that came out with like the real print action figure head scans and stuff for like Hot Toys and stuff. And they would do like busts and stuff, but they had like a full scanner that an actor would go into, right? And they would scan its whole body, and it would scan right from the top all the way down, all the way around, right? And then they had a software that did the same thing. They would just meld the whole scan into one complete figure, so it was had all the detail without missing spots because of angles or anything like that, right?
Yeah, no, so right there, I have the Rev Point, which is the larger 3D scanner, which I bought like 2 years ago, and I used it like twice. It's not as easy. It's made more for like trying to take large scale scans of like car parts, like if you want to do like a replacement piece for your bumper or something like that. So I struggled to use that one. But like this mini one that I have, it actually fits more the business model of what I wanted it for, which is to scan smaller things that I want. Like, let's say that there's, for instance, one of the big things, the reason I want it is like the WWE figures. There's like some wrestlers that were out during, the early 2000s that didn't get Mattel figures, and they've since passed away. And I have their heads from that time, and I want to scan their head and make it into a Mattel scaled size figure on one of those Mattel bodies and stuff. So like, that was one of the reasons. But the main reason I invested in this was I before even Hexastack, I had been, and the reason I invested in that one was because I wanted to, partner with a couple of local toy shows around here, and I wanted to go there, set up a booth, and basically just scan people like us nerds heads and offer them, a package, right? Like, so for like $30, get your head scanned and get one, custom head, printed, mailed back to you within like 2 weeks, and whatever scale you want, right? And do it like that. And I was thinking that would be a fairly lucrative business. And then Hasbro came out with their.
There's actually a company doing that before Hasbro came out with their selfie series.
Right. So there's a selfie series. That's what it was.
And there was a company that started doing that before them, and they tried launching it in Target. And it was never successful, but it was.
Oh, really? So there was a website out there that you used to be able to do it with and stuff. But again, all of those, yes, it's a head scan, but it's not what I'm doing. What they're doing is they're taking an image and they're blasting it over the same formatted face. Yep. Like it's not taking into the account of the depth of my eye sockets and the chubbiness of my cheeks.
It's basically something that looks like you on a standard head.
Yeah. Exactly. It's very generic. Whereas like what I'm able to do, I'm literally able to scan. If I wanted to, I can scan this guy's head and I could get all of the grooves and the moldings here and stuff and then reprint that and reproduce it if I wanted to. Yeah. Almost giving myself the ability to create a casting of a figure if I wanted to, or a part or something. So for me, I could go through and scan all of these people's heads and then send them back a true to life, 3D file, and then I had some different business models behind it, right? Like the idea was like, for $50, you get the head, and it gets, I don't use the head for any other future reference, right? Like your head is your head, and I only sell it to you for $30. I scan your head, I sell you the head, and then I put that head as a generic head that's available for anybody to buy as generic, army builder head, and basically that $20, you're signing away your likeness to be able to use on that reproduced head. Otherwise, you just get it for yourself for $20. So somebody who's like, that's creepy, I don't want somebody, playing with my head. Well, that's fine. I understand that. That might be awkward. Yeah. You can buy it, but it's going to cost you more, But yeah, so that was the whole thing behind it. But obviously, I think Hexastack is a really cool idea. That'll be something hopefully that supplements at the booths and helps offset some of the costs there while promoting Hexastack and then also providing people the ability to, scan their heads. So
get a real selfie series.
Yeah, get a Hexa series.
Yeah, there you go.
Whatever.
A Hexa selfie.
Hexa selfie.
Yeah.
Sexa selfie.
Sexa selfie. There you go.
Yeah. Making different body types as accessories could be cool, as in you make something that would slot into a fig to make it heavier for background characters would be cool. That's interesting.
They actually make this one company, I think they're over in Japan or China. I can't remember what the name of it is, but they actually make like overlays to put on figures. So like if they're just generic, right? They're like all white or all black, whatever, gray, whatever color it is. But like you can put it on to a guy like in a t-shirt, and then it just makes the guy look like he's heavier or bulkier or muscular or whatever, right? But
yeah.
It's just an overlay, like basically made out of like resin, rubber, whatever.
So you only print one type of head. What do you mean? Are you saying like one scale or one peg hole, or what do you mean? Because right now the heads that I haven't designed. They're ones that I just have the files of, and those heads are all. I have like typically they have two different types of files. The ones that I have, which would allow for basically it's like a generic one where it's a little bit more gored out, so that way you can basically take some blue tack, throw it up inside the head, drop it on the neck the neck peg, and it works. But if you're looking for different scales, the ones that I have already, I can upscale and downscale if needed.
Yeah. That's the problem with the custom heads, is making sure it fits on the neck and the actual neck post, because
there's a balance there.
Yeah,
there's a significant,
like even with Hasbro, some of the Hasbro heads don't fit on other heads because of the pegs, and some of them fit the pegs, but the neck's too big around or too small or whatever, right?
That went right over my head, dude. Yep.
It went right over my head as you read it. So
yep.
Briscoe's a lot sharper at this time of night than I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And Random too. He was right there with him. Yeah. He's jumping in the gutter. He was grabbing at everything.
Well, God only blessed us with enough blood to run one head at a time, and I wasn't running that head.
Absolutely. Hey man, it's like 1:00. I got an early morning tomorrow.
Yeah, you and me both, man.
Absolutely. So, hey, it was good bullshitting with you.
Yeah, good bullshitting, of course. We'll catch you tomorrow on the IG. And
Yeah.
everybody that's still here, thanks for hanging out. Everybody that stopped by earlier or watches this, if anybody watches this replay for God knows what reason.
Right. Good deal. Good
Thank
deal.
y'all.
Absolutely.
What's that, Ritzy?
Flocked moss holes. That's
I
good.
can do the flocking, but I ain't touching no moss hole.
You're gonna have to flock the moss hole and send it over to Ted so he can complain about it
right
on one of his upcoming shows, hopefully.
all
Absolutely.
right, anyway,
hey,
guys,
hit me up.
Yeah, have a good one, guys. Thanks
Take
for
it
stopping by, hanging out with us. It was great.
Bye.